Morning, Raptor Freak Alexey Ots here. It's the Thursday Think Tank. Da, 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 da. Yes, this segment is all about how positive Raptor fans of Raptor Nation can think and pray and scheme and wish towards positive things happening for the Toronto Raptors in the future. The Thursday Think Tank. We're here to talk about today. The first round of the 2022 playoffs is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Toronto Raptors. And today I'm going to break it down position by position, statistic by statistic, and talk to you about who has some advantages in this matchup we're about to start this weekend, 6 o'clock Saturday night in Philadelphia, game one. The Raptors will tip the ball off against the Sixers starting this playoff season. And it's exciting because the Raptors did not make the playoffs last year. And that was really weird. It didn't make sense. It wasn't right. It was an aberration in the history of the Toronto Raptors franchise. 1 year that we didn't make the playoffs out of like the last 10 years. We made it every other time for the most part. So this is where the normalcy is being in the playoffs, being a playoff team, being one of the best teams in the East, because that's really and truly who the Toronto Raptors are. I see Paul B's already here with me, and some other people are here with me. So I'm just going to jump right into this. You guys, the way the think tank works is we're a hive mind. We are all like-minded, positive Raptor fans, and we're just going to talk about things that we observe or we see about this matchup coming up today and share it and just talk about it. Get it out there in reality by communicating to each other something. Sometimes it becomes more real. Instead of it just being a germ in your brain, a little idea that you had, a little kind of, well, what about that? But once you put it out your mouth and you put it at somebody else, sometimes it becomes more real. A dream can become more real. You know what I'm saying? Tom Duke is here. Good morning, Tom Duke. Time for the think tank. Let's get our scientist coats on and get our pointers and our chalkboard and just start going. And J.O. is here. We got Philadelphia fan here getting the intel while he's here. Yes, that's right. We are in school today, and part of our think tank is a Philadelphia 76er fan, but a very nice one, a very cool dude that came and watched the watch along with us yesterday. What up, J.O.? Good to see you, man. All right, so basically what I've done in the last couple days is I've really gone over the rosters of the Sixers and the Raptors and done a head-to-head matchup. And I'm going to talk about who I see personally as having the advantage at each of these positions. I've also gone through and I've looked at stat categories, and we're going to talk about which team's better at different stats also. So let's get right into it, y'all. Monique is here. Good to see Monique, superfan Monique, all over Toronto. Oh my gosh, Monique, you are on Google Pixel ads all over downtown Toronto right now, and you are badass for it. Congratulations. I love that people keep taking pictures of you and sending it to you on your Facebook and saying, I saw this downtown over here. I saw you downtown over here. And I want to tell you, Monique, you look so fly in what you are wearing. Your Raptor garb is 100% badass, and you look so good in the picture. You just look like a G. You look like a badass. That's what I got to say right now, Monique. Great stuff with the Google Pixel ads. Monique's saying, hope all is well with COVID, Lex. The playoff schedule works out perfectly for me. Let's go. That's great to hear. Yeah, it's really cool. We got the schedule finally, all the different games and when they're going to be and stuff like that. We got a game on 420, y'all. We got a game on 430 if it gets to 7 games. So very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. As far as the COVID, I've been feeling a lot better since Monday. So I've had about 3 days where I've felt pretty good. There's just weird little lingering things. Like I had a lot more nausea this week than I normally do after having COVID. It's very weird. But I am on the mend and feeling way, way better. But it's a rainy day outside in Toronto right now. It's just kind of gloomy day. You know, Tom Duke is saying, agree, Paul. Those two are the most exciting ebbs and flows. They are talking about Precious and Chris Boucher. Paul B came in and said something about how Precious and Chris Boucher's eyes get wider when we play the Sixers. Can't wait to watch them feast. You know, Chris Boucher actually did say this year on his Hustle Play podcast that his favorite team to play is the Philadelphia 76ers. And the reason why is because he loves the challenge of trying to stop Joel Embiid. Chris Boucher weighs about the same as me, guys. Like we're right around 220. And, he is a skinny dude, but he loves that challenge to physically match up with Joel Embiid because he sees Joel Embiid as a very strong beast of a player in the league. And that if you can try and control physically Joel Embiid, that you've accomplished something. So it's basically Chris Boucher loves the challenge thrown at him when he sees Joel Embiid across the court from him. And then Precious just off the chain right now with confidence, manifestation. He's all about manifesting right now, and he is on a mission. Yeah, Precious Achua is a badass, and I can't wait to see him in the playoffs. We want to see what these youngsters can do in the playoffs. Him and Scotty Barnes, let's see whether they shrink away from the competition or they just go out there and say, hey, I like this environment. I like this extra kind of intensity, and I'm feeding off of it, and I'm ready to go become a star. That is what we got to see what's going to happen with these youngsters, because this is something they've been talking about a lot this week in the interviews. They had press interviews yesterday with Nick Nurse, Thad Young, and Pascal Siakam. And they're asking them, how do you get these younger players prepared for a playoff? Something that they have never experienced before or understand. And they got to come and ask them, Thad, what's it like? What's it like? Well, it's a lot different, guys. It's way more intense. It's way more crazy. And they were all kind of trying to answer that question about how they tried to convey the idea of what the difference is between the regular season and the playoffs. And it's very interesting what they were saying. Very, very interesting indeed. All right, let's keep going. I love that there's so many comments, guys. This is great. Sue's here. Good morning, everyone. Good to see Sue. Tom Duke is saying superstar, super fan Monique. That's right. She is a superstar, and she just keeps blowing up. Like, seriously, you might see her out there in BC, Tom Duke. They need to put that Google Pixel ad up out in BC, and you'll see her on the side of a bus out in your neck of the woods. Oh my gosh. Paul B saying 76ers have no answer for Pascal Siakam. Ooh, I love hearing that, Paul B. And I think you're right. What he was saying yesterday was very interesting. Pascal's a badass, first of all. He was like reacting to Nick Nurse calling this matchup a slugfest. He was like, he called that a slugfest. He's like, I hope not. He's like, I don't want this to be a slugfest. He's like, that sounds a little crazy. He's like, that's crazy. What he said this is gonna be a slugfest? What's he mean? He's like, is this gonna be wrestling or something like that? No, Pascal was funny. They kept asking him yesterday, what are you gonna do to score on the Philadelphia 76ers? And basically Pascal said, I don't know yet, because I'm gonna take whatever they give me. Yeah, that's what he said. Basically, he said that they give me the open shot and lay off of me, I'm gonna shoot the open shot, the three or the short mid range or something like that. But if they come up close on me, I'm gonna go right around them and go right to the basket. That is what Pascal said specifically yesterday when they asked him, "How are you gonna beat them?" He said, "I'm gonna get whatever they give me." And he's going to read their defense. He's going to read how they do things against him, whether they come with the double, whether they want to lay off him, whether they want to like push him to drive, whatever. He's going to do what it takes, because at this point in his career, his experience and his observation skills of what to do in the instant is getting better and better. And that's part of the reason why he's been such a badass in the last month of the regular season, is that he's reading the floor so well. And part of what he's talking about when he's reading the floor is he's not just reading the floor himself. We have a couple of really advanced masters at reading the floor and looking for mismatches and opportunities. And those three men are Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and Nick Nurse. And what happens is, Pascal said, Nick will see something and he'll say, hey, look, why don't you do that? And then he'll go do it. Or Fred might see it. Fred is also really good at figuring out and reading the floor and figuring out in the situational moment what the best thing to do is. And when you have those kind of cerebral players on the court that are gifted enough to read the situation as it goes by in the millisecond and act on it, you have a great strength. And especially when they're multifaceted scorer like Pascal Siakam, who cannot be stopped. And I agree, Paul B. They may try and bring up some answers for how to deal with Pascal, but he's going to adjust. And this is the thing. He's like water. He's going to pour and get through that crack and get through no matter what. And there's nothing they can do about it. There is absolutely nothing they can do to stop Pascal Siakam other than get three guys and just throw all of them at him. But then he's going to burn you with a pass. He's going to burn you out of the double team, and he's going to get the ball to somebody who's open. And it's probably going to be an OG and an OB3 from the side, stuff like that. So, yeah, I love that statement, Paul, and I'm right with you. Tom Duke is saying, glad you're healthy, Lexi. Our health is paramount to our success. Elite competitors have a way of playing through some issues. Just hoping OG and Fred VanVleet and Yuta are all healed up. Yeah, I've heard some good news about OG this week that Nick Nurse is saying that OG has felt a lot better since the game on Sunday. After the game against the Knicks, OG was very sore, as he put it. But in the days since, he's seen some gains with him with his health and practice. So that is good. That is very good. Now, Fred, I think he's having good rest. So his knee should be in really good shape for the most part. Good morning to Evelyn. Evelyn's a party granny. I love Evelyn. Evelyn, I hope you're having a great day. And this weekend, we're going to have a good time watching the Raptors play the first game of the opening round against the Philadelphia 76ers. Kyrie's here also. Good morning, Kyrie. Good to see you also. Sue is saying, let's see what Sue is saying. I'm going to the game on 420. My friend got tickets and asked me if I wanted to go with her. So excited. That is awesome, Sue. I'm so happy to hear that one of our Raptor freaks is going to be in the building for the game 4 on 420. That's badass. I love that, Sue. Make sure you're loud. And remember, Sue, defense, whenever the Sixers have the ball, don't let it up. Just be loud as you can. If you're not missing your voice by the end of the game, Sue, you didn't do enough. You got to admit, have at least a hoarse voice in some way. Everybody's saying good morning to everybody. I love it. Kyrie's saying the only way I see this going is 7 games is the refs. I hate the touch foul calls they call on our players. This is going to be interesting to see because normally in the transition from the regular season to postseason, the referees hold their whistle a little bit more than they do during the regular season. You shouldn't expect to get calls unless you're a golden boy of some sort like Luka or LeBron or something like that. But otherwise, they swallow the whistle for a lot. But they've already been swallowing the whistle a lot during the regular season. So it's going to take a lot to get fouls, I think, in this situation. Now, if we do see touch fouls and they look suspicious and a little fucked up, then we'll know what we're talking about, Kyrie. And I know what you're saying is that if the refs are trying to manipulate things like we talked about the other day with early foul trouble on important Raptors, that's one way. And then the other stuff is if it's not consistent on both ends of the court. If the Sixers are able to hammer the hell out of Pascal Siakam driving the basket and there's no and one, meanwhile, we breathe on Joel Embiid and he's getting the free throw line. Yeah, that is exactly what Kyrie's talking about. And I hate that kind of stuff. And I really want us to all eagle eye watch these referees and make sure that they're giving it a good fair on both sides. We don't give a shit how they call it. It's just they have to do it consistently at both ends of the court. They can call it tight and have a lot of touch fouls, but they better be doing it on the other end. Or if they don't call nothing, they better not be calling nothing on the other end also. And I agree, Kyrie. Hopefully this won't get to 7 games. Let's see what happens. It's always a good strategy to get it over and done with as quickly as possible. And it'll be interesting to see how this all goes down and see what happens. Paul B saying, I'm gonna be at Jawbreaker, Built to Spill on Saturday, so I'll be watching in a bar or phone updates. Hope it's an easy beat down. Getting game 1 would be everything. Yeah, I agree with that. So you're going to Built to Spill. Wow, very cool. Yeah, maybe hopefully they have you're in a bar seeing it, not in a concert venue. Then hopefully they'll have the game on the TV while you can watch it. The best of both worlds, live music and Raptors playoff basketball. Good for you, Paul B. Monique saying Thad Young's comments on the coaching staff were top notch. Yes, I love this, Monique. I love this. What Thad said, he said a couple really interesting things yesterday. He said when he showed up with the Raptors organization, he got his first scouting report from the coaches. He looked at it, and this is a man who played in the NBA for 15 years. This is a man who played a lot of his career for our opponent, the Philadelphia 76ers. He started there. He bought his house there. He met his wife there. He had his kids there in Philadelphia. He has a strong affinity for the Philadelphia 76ers. But he said, I'm playing for the team I'm on now. I want my team to win now, and that's the Toronto Raptors. So we got, that's something I a little bit worry about, is like his whole sentimentality for the Sixers drafting him and playing most of his career there in the beginning. But he's a mercenary. He's being paid by us, and he's on our team now. But I love what he said. He said when he got that first scouting report, he looked at it. He's like, this is the best damn scouting report I've ever seen as an NBA career. Like, he's seen so many scouting reports by so many different coaching teams. And then when he saw the first one that he got from the Raptors staff, he was like, these guys are good. Yeah. He saw that, how that organized and what everything was on there. And he's like, holy crap, these guys really prepare you for things. And I love that. I love that. Part of what watching the watch along yesterday is I was looking at Lenny Wilkins and his staff yesterday. And I'm like, these guys, I don't have any confidence in these guys. Look at these dudes. They look like jabronis. And you realize when you look at our staff now, you see some very committed, very, very people that are very good at their job. Like, they know what they're doing, and they know how to prepare the team, the players, in every kind of way. And I think that that's a testament to Nick Nurse and having the right staff around him. Like, it's one thing to have a good head coach that's anchoring it all, but like to fill it out with a great talent roster of coaches around you, like guys like Trevor Gleason, Earl Watson, Nate Bjorngren, Adrian Griffin. These guys all do important things for the team in preparation for games. And they're not, like I said, there's no dead weight there. Every single one of them, there's no like title that's given to one of these guys just as honorary, and they're just kind of coasting and hanging around like, hey, I'm in the team. Yeah, everybody's doing something. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, I love that comment by Thad also, Monique. That was a really telling thing. And coming from a guy with his amount of NBA experience, that's a huge compliment to the coaching staff of the Raptors, for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Sue's saying, I love Thad's interview. He's such a great pickup for us. He has a great attitude and so helpful to our younger guys. Love Thaddy Daddy. She's called him Thaddy Daddy. Dude, he is so wholesome. Like, Thad Young is so wholesome. I just got up this morning. I go to his Instagram, and there's a video of him and his sons playing Jenga. That's what's on his Instagram this morning, is them playing Jenga. It's like, that's so wholesome. But Thad Young is a badass, and I love it. He has been a great addition to our team, somebody that we needed because we really, really lacked any kind of veterans. Any kind of presence who has a relationship in the league for like a 10 and 15 years, that is really good, because there's a certain level of politicking and respect that goes on the court. And when you have Thad Young on your team, he knows how to handle certain situations because he's seen it all, and he knows all the refs. He's known them for like 15 years, most of them. So he has prior relationships with all kinds of different people, whether it's referees, opposing coaches, opposing players, all kinds of different people. And that helps us in some ways, because it helps us with respect. It helps us with maybe possibly communicating and politicking on the court in different ways and stuff like that. And that's really, really good. Paul B saying, if they give Siakam space, he can pass it to Scotty. Okay, you guys are going off, and Scotty can yam it. Yes, that's true. He has a lot of options, Siakam. If you're going to double Siakam, pick your poison, because it could be Gary Trent, it could be Precious Achiuwa, it could be Scotty, it could be Malachi Flynn, it could be all kinds of different weapons around him that you come and get him, collapse on him, and then boom, he's finding somebody else, and they're wide open, and boom, they made the shot. Callie's here. Good to see Callie. Good morning, all. I'm excited and nervous at the same time. OG and Fred don't seem to be healthy. I think they're making some gains this week, actually, Callie. That's what Nick Nurse said yesterday, that they're getting some gains, but there is a bit of holding them out in practice in different ways, whether it's in like full contact, different ways and stuff like that. But it is what it is. Yeah, Sue's already warming up. Defense. Make sure as soon as the tip goes, if Philadelphia has the ball, Tyrese Maxey's bringing the ball to the court. Defense. And even if nobody else is doing it, sometimes you're that spark that'll light that fire and get the whole crowd going. And I'd love for you to be that person for that game 4 at 420, Sue. Be that person that lights the fire. Oh yeah. Paul B saying, Nick Nurse, that's it. End of series. Oh my gosh. Paul, you might have just did the quick synopsis for my breakdown that I'm going to start in just a bit after I get through y'all's comments, that, yeah, that might be the very quick synopsis that I would write in there. Nick Nurse, that's it, end of series. And that may be exactly why we win this series, is because the coaching matchup is not very equal in some ways. And Philly fan who's here, and Philly fan in Philadelphia might agree with us that they're kind of sick of Doc Rivers and his hype and no substance. They want to see real results, Doc. And you are not totally confident in the Sixers nation right now. Monique saying, thanks for the shout out, Lex. You can now see the Google Pixel ad downtown Toronto and elsewhere. Yeah, I mean, this is Google. This is worldwide, baby. Like, you're going to see Monique all over Canada, y'all. Y'all look out and watch for Monique in her badass long sleeve, sitting in, she's just badass. It's so cool to see her all over town right now. Samson Ironman's here. Good to see Samson again. OG played a full game the other day, and Fred couldn't have played, but it was smart to rest him since he played the most minutes this season. They will be ready. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Fred, like in the last couple of games that he played, he looked a lot better with the way he was moving, as opposed to maybe a month ago. Remember, he looked like he was running in water for a little while, couldn't catch up. He looked real slow, but he looked way, way better in the couple of games that he played before the end of the season. So I'm not really worried about Fred. And in a lot of ways, I'm not really worried about OG either. These guys are pros. They've been pros for a couple of years. They understand what's about to start, and they just wanted to get as ready as possible. And working with the sports science of the Toronto Raptors coaching staff and figuring out their bodies and getting them exactly right and in tune for Saturday night, 6:00. Oh, yeah. So I think they'll be ready too, Samson. I agree with you. Paul B saying, upon YouTube research, it seems 76ers fans don't like thinking about the shot or talking about Ben Simmons. So it's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger? Oh, Paul B. Paul B. I know Paul B's out there trolling Sixers fans in other places this week, and I love it. I'm here for it, Paul. Whatever you got to do, go ahead and do it. Of course they don't like talking about Kawhi's shot. Of course they don't want to talk about their idiot Ben Simmons that had to go away this season. If I was a Sixers fan, Ben Simmons would be on the list like Vince Carter was for me when he did what he did, because he left in such a bad way. So, yeah, these are things like that. But listen, we can't get all clouded up in the past. We got to work on the future and the present. And the present's coming at 6:00 on Saturday night. Stevie Roots is going to come over and watch the game with me, and we're going to get loud. And that's always good luck when my best friend comes over and watches the game with me. He said, we're not missing this game. I have not been over to watch a game with you in a while, and I'm going to make sure I'm there on Saturday night, 6:00 here in Leslieville, watching the game with me. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Laugh Out Loud by Paul. Let's see. Soldier T1's here again. Good to see you, Soldier. Good morning, people. He's saying, I got the Raps in 5. A sweep would be great. I got us in the finals. Who says we ain't good enough? Oh, I love this attitude. This is exactly the attitude that the Raptor Freak cult champions and carries here, because there's so many depressed, pessimistic Raptor fans out there that don't believe in the team, whether it was at the beginning of the year and they're like, oh, we can't make the playoffs. You guys are crazy. Why do you think we're going to make the playoffs? What makes you think that on our roster? I'm like, motherfucker, look at our roster. We've got Fred VanVleet. We've got Pascal Siakam. We've got Scotty Barnes. And you don't even know who he is yet. You're going to find out. I love your attitude, Soldier. And I am with you. Let's go all the way. The way Nick Nurse talked about it yesterday in his press conferences for a long playoff run. He said, you want to have different weapons on your team that can jump in. If somebody's not playing well, like Pascal's not playing well, you want Gary Trent Jr. there just in case to pick up the water and the responsibilities of trying to win the game for the team. And then when you have a team with the makeup of a lot of equal kind of talent, like 7 or 8 guys on the team, they're pretty equal in talent. You have more guys who can carry the water at different times when other guys can't. And that's important in this league. And that's one of the things in the COVID years and with the war of attrition that the NBA season is. People get hurt. People have to leave, like Kevin Durant. And it fucks up a whole season for the Brooklyn Nets because Kevin Durant's not there all of a sudden. You have too many eggs in one basket, you're in trouble. And the Raptors aren't like that. And that's one of the things that Nick Nurse said yesterday that he loves about his team, is that he has a lot of different options, a lot of different weapons that he can try at different times. And that bodes well for a long playoff run. That is exactly what his words were. So, Soldier, we are on the same page. And so is our man, Nick Nurse. He is thinking the same way as us. And why not? We're good enough. We're strong enough. And gosh darn it, we like you. Stuart Smalley, looking in the mirror. We're looking in the mirror and we're telling each other, we're telling Michael Jordan, say, be like Mike. We can be like Mike. And we can get far in these playoffs. That's how I feel too. Oh, yeah. Evelyn saying Kia rookie ladder. Evan Mobley earns #1 spot in final ranking. Thoughts? This noise is so stupid. Listen, at this point, it's going to be the voters. They can make every single ranking they want out there in every kind of way. But the way it works is that the players get first, second, third, fourth, fifth place votes. Now, if Scotty is high enough on the list as a 1 or a 2 on everybody's list, he can still win Rookie of the Year, even if some people pick Evan Mobley. It's just all weighted by how many first place votes, how many second place votes he gets. So if they start picking him as first and second mostly, and these other 2 guys get thirds in different ways, he could get Rookie of the Year through the voting system. So these rookie rankings, they're almost kind of like last minute propaganda to try and swing things in voters' minds in a certain way. But they're not official in any kind of way. It's just bullshit. It's actually maybe what the NBA would like to happen from their head office. But once again, it's up to the voters. It's up to the people that are going to vote. And I'm not sure exactly who they are and how they're looking at it or what, but that is what's going to decide it. And the first and second and third place votes may be part of the reason, the thing that really defines it and stuff like that. Like I said, we've said this also in the last couple of weeks. We'd be very happy if there's co-rookies of the year. Like if it's Scotty Barnes and one of the other guys, that's fine. We just don't want him to miss out. He needs to get Rookie of the Year. Oh, yeah, he does. All right, let's say Monique saying, I'm still saying Raptors in 5. Okay, I love these predictions, y'all. You're saying Raptors in 5. That sounds pretty good. That sounds about right to me. I say 5 or 6. We'll see how it goes. Kyrie saying, I can see Precious being very useful on the defensive end. How quick he can move his feet and how determined he is on defense. The thing about Precious in the last game against the Philadelphia 76ers in the regular season that we won is that he was started out guarding Joel Embiid, and he did a pretty good job. He was doing what we've been talking about a lot recently is this guard him real close. And Nick Nurse talked about this a lot yesterday in his press conference. Guard him real close, but don't foul him. Don't hit him with your hands. Don't hit him with anything so there's a foul, but really agitate his shot. And Precious, because he's so mobile and quick and laterally, he can move side to side. He's so good at staying in between Joel Embiid and the basket. And this is a crazy thing. It's like he's guarding Joel Embiid at the beginning of the game, but at some point in the game, he got switched off and he had to guard Harden for a while. And he showed that he could do that also. That this is the thing. Him and OG and Scotty and Pascal, these guys all want to guard the toughest assignments. They want the challenge. They want the challenge to shut the water off on the best superstars on the other side. And in the past couple of years, it's been OG that's been that guy who loves to do that, whether it's LeBron, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, whoever. He's the one trying to shut the water off on the other superstar. Well, now we've got 4 guys that want to do this. They're like, Precious, like, I want to shut the water off. I want to shut the water off. So when you have 4 guys out there that all want to be defensive stoppers and are trying to stop superstars, that's where these teams can't score or do anything. That's why. And that's the dangerous thing about the Raptors defense is that we have a bunch of guys that want to be the best defender on our team. And all of them are real close, and they're all real badass plus defenders that can have size, strength, and speed. And that is the thing that's going to be nasty and hurt, really, really hurt the Sixers and what they're trying to do with their offense is having so many interchangeable, totally versatile players. All right, let's keep going. Sue saying hi to Callie. And Solja. Solja says Scotty already got the most votes. Kia rookie rankings are haters. Yes, this is exactly what I'm saying. Like ESPN rankings, NBA rankings, they're going to try and shape it. The one last propaganda push for shaping the voters' minds in whatever way they can and stuff like that. Listen, they've seen the real deal Holyfield, seen the man on the court, seen what he's doing on both ends of the court. They'll make the right decisions. And I would love to see who the voting body is. I'd love to see the list of all the people who vote for Rookie of the Year. And then it would maybe give me a little more insight as to how it might go, because it may be very, very interesting to see who has the vote. Very interesting. Tom Duke saying Nick Nurse is going to be showing up doc. I agree with this. Somebody was saying that he may be a nurse and he may be a doc, but Nick Nurse actually has a doctorate. Like he has a doctorate in real life. Like he is a doctor of something. I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe it's a doctor of basketball, but Dr. Nick Nurse is the full title. Thank you. And also, we were saying also, if there's a doc versus a nurse, well, we know who does most of the work in the hospital. We know the one who's the unsung hero and the one that's doing the hard work. That's the nurse at the hospital. Oh yeah, you go to a hospital, you ask them that. The doctor comes in, does his stuff because he gets paid the big bucks. He's got the knowledge, but the nurse is the grunt doing the hard work in the hospital. And that's what I'm saying about the mentality between that. All right. Paul B saying Thad Young keeps us on the rails when we get a bit out of control. Yes, Paul, you notice this when Thad comes into the game, sometimes it's for sanity, it's for stability, because we're a little too crazy, or maybe we're going through a scoring drought where nobody can score something. And all of a sudden, Thad comes in, calms us down. He gets the ball at the top of the key near the free throw line, and then he does a little dribble, and all of a sudden he's got a little baby hook, and he scored a point for us in a time when we're having a drought. And I love that. That's really good to have. That's part of the veteran presence that I really like about having Thad Young on this team. Calapoon, good to see you again. Yeah, Raps in 5. Harden has been off. Probably has a nagging injury. Siakam is surging. He's going to dominate. Raps are too strong, but ESPN will make excuses. They're already going to make excuses. They're already making excuses in different ways. The Thibault thing is real convenient. Real convenient already. But yeah, Harden has been off since he came. Actually, he's been off for the whole year. He was off kind of in Brooklyn also before the trade. And it's like I said, like him and Westbrook at this point in their career, they look a little washed. Like they look a little bit past their prime. They look like they haven't kept up with their bodies as best as they could have. I mean, this is what the news has come out this week, that the friction between Kevin Durant and James Harden was because he came back into the season and training camp completely out of shape. And that Kevin Durant was super disappointed in him for not being a professional, for not keeping his body up, for not taking care of himself. James says he cares, but I don't believe him. He doesn't give a shit. Like he said in press conference this week, I care about winning and helping my team win. We don't believe you, bro. You can say all the fuck you want at the mic and lip service, but we don't believe you until you show something on court. And not that I want you to. I'd love you to just continue to be on cruise control, because honestly, you really do. Like you have not proven anything in your career about your desire to actually win championships, because you've been very, very happy. Like one of the things you're saying this week is, I don't have anything to prove. I'm like, well, okay, you feel like that way, then we'll see how far you get with that attitude. He's saying he has nothing to prove. So that may be what we see, him proving nothing while he's out on the court during this series. J.O. saying, yeah, Thaddeus Young is a class act. Always loved him when he played for Philly. He loves y'all too. He was saying that he keeps in touch with like courtside fans, like season ticket fans. He probably talks to your super fan a lot still. He talks to like a lot of your staff and people. He has such a strong bond with your franchise since he left. I mean, I know he's bounced around too. He hasn't even been on, I think he's been on Philly twice, two different times, but like, yeah, he's been around in all kinds of different other teams, but he still kept that strong first connection. And that's the way it is. And I hope this is the way it is with Scotty forever. And hopefully he just stays here with your first team. When you're a rookie and you get to that first NBA city and you're playing with your first team, your first teammates, your first coach, it's so special. It's like virginity. Come on. It's like Scotty's going to have that special feeling about Toronto, like Thaddeus does about Philadelphia. And I love it. And yes, he's a good standing Sixer to the Sixers fans. They love Thaddeus Young in different ways, so it's awesome. And he was also talking about how he was the last one out of his whole group when he got drafted that stayed on the Sixers, that they held on to him the longest from his era. And that meant a lot to him, because all the other guys were gone all of a sudden, like Evan Turner and different people like that were around him. And he was the last ones from his time. And that meant a lot to him from the Sixers. Tom Duke saying Danny Green would be the first player to get 4 rings on 4 different teams. Not this year. Sorry, Danny Green. Yeah, no, fuck that. Danny Green doesn't need more rings. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the matchups very soon, Tom Duke. We're going to get into this because I want to talk about Danny Green for sure. Click to AM saying, I don't see a world where Harden can flip a switch and play like 2018 Harden. If that was possible, Pascal Siakam could have done that in the bubble. Yeah, that is part of it. It's like, that's why I think these strategies of bringing these players in right at the last second to try and help teams win, like Kawhi and the Clippers, Or even Paul George just showed up there very recently and they lost to Minnesota. Ben Simmons, if he showed up and tried to play for the Brooklyn Nets, he just fucked them up, because there's a certain level of play conditioning that you have to have. And that's part of the reason why I love what the Raptors did this year with their heavy minutes, is that all of our guys are super conditioned to not get tired and to play like hard and through some crazy exhausting basketball. Like these dudes, they push them hard, and it's not like Kyle and DeMar a couple years ago where they're tired and they're falling apart. They are conditioned and raring and ready to go. Now, somebody like Kawhi, who just shows up for the Clippers tomorrow, he's not going to be able to do that. The same thing with James Harden. If you're going at a certain speed all year, you can't just turn it on and say, oh, I'm in a new mode all of a sudden. You have to be playing and practicing and getting the reps at that kind of play. And that's why I love what the Raptors have done this year, is because we played at a playoff intensity with our defense and our play for the most of the year. So it's already second nature. It's like, yeah, okay, this is what we've been doing already. And even Pascal said it yesterday in his interview. It's like, I've been playing at a playoff intensity already this year for the most part. So it's just going to be the same. It's more the same. We've been practicing and practicing it, and that's why we're better at it in some ways. So James Harden, he's not going to go into another gear. You're not going to see much more than what you're seeing from him already, Philly fan. It's going to be the same, unfortunately. Like he's not going to be able to do it. In fact, some ways his body looks lazier and stockier and slower than what he looked like in Houston, for sure. All right, let me keep going. Kyrie saying, I'm so intrigued on how playoff Scotty Barnes will look like. Me too. Like, this is the thing. Nick, when he's talking about the prospect of it yesterday, he's like almost gleaming, like just beaming with happiness. He's like, yeah, we don't know what he's going to be like in these games when they count. And like, well, we're going to find out. Like, they don't know. It's kind of like Christmas, like opening the package. Let's see how Scotty does in playoff intensity. Because either you shrink and you go away, you don't do well, or you rise and you love it, or you thrive. And I think that there's something about the competitive spirit and the winning attitude of Scotty Barnes that's going to make him very successful in the playoffs. And hopefully it may be this kind of thing where we see him go into like a Kawhi playoff mode, where Scotty has a playoff mode of his own, like Kawhi used to. Like, he's like, oh, this is really counts, and then I'm going to really play badass. And what Nick Nurse was also saying is that he's been playing stronger anyway near the end of the season. Like these last couple of weeks of the regular season, Scotty was getting more domineering and more throwing his weight around and his muscle and just kind of like putting his effort and what he wants to do on the court more out there. And that's what I'm excited about, the prospect with this in the playoffs. Oh, yeah. And Kyrie saying, I wonder if we'll see Scotty coming off the bench as a sixth man. I don't think so. I think we'll keep it going the same way. Like I said the other day, I think it's going to be a regular starting lineup: Fred, Gary, OG, Pascal, and Scotty. And then if there's problems with Embiid doing too much too early, then Ken Burch comes right in, and just for a bigger, taller, more regular kind of center guy to guard up body wise with him. But in some ways, we can guard Embiid with OG. We can guard Embiid with Pascal. We can guard Embiid with Scotty Barnes. So those three guys will be getting chances to guard him first. And I'll bet you it's OG that's guarding him very first, because OG just has the best experience and he's a very strong man. They can do different things. And we're not relying on OG so much for points at this point. So if he can be a defensive stopper in this series in different ways, but get like spot threes and do different things like that on the side, but really get back to his defensive stopper mentality, we're going to be in good shape, because OG is a bonus and somebody we've been missing a lot in the second half of the season. And that's one of the things. He's our heart and soul, and our record during the regular season when OG's playing is so much better than when he's not. And that's the thing. OG's a secret weapon in a lot of ways that we haven't been using as much this season. If we'd had him healthy for this whole season, our record might have been even better, and we might have been number one in the East. But he missed so many games this year, and he's a huge factor for us, for sure. Excuse me, sorry. Monique saying, I wonder what Masai and Bobby are thinking these playoffs. Well, they're saying, let it ride. Let's see how this goes. Like, we put this together. It's been a very successful season. Let's see how it does playoff tested. And it's really like they want to look at these youngsters. They want to see what kind of mettle they have. These are the things that, like, Bobby Webster's looking at this, like, who do I want to invest long-term money in? and give big money to. And they have to look like they can handle that they're going to excel in this kind of atmosphere of playoff basketball and do better than normal in the regular season. Bobby Webster might be thinking, yeah, how much do I want to pay Scotty Barnes? Yeah, Scotty Barnes going to be a good playoff player. And then, yeah, all right, we're throwing money at him. Supermax, boom, you're like Giannis, you're on Toronto. That's what he's got to think about in the long term as a general manager, is he's got to start designing the ideas of the money and when the contracts come up and things like that, and who is going to get that big bag like Pascal did. Because that's what he's really got to determine, is who is going to be the right people and the right pieces to keep long term. So that's what they're going to be looking at. J.O.'s saying Nurse will outcoach Doc, and that worried me because Doc and game adjustments and lineup stink. Yeah, it's partly like, all right, Doc Rivers is an older coach. Doc Rivers has been coaching for a long time. And to me, he's similar to Dwayne Casey in some ways. Like, Dwayne Casey's a great coach, and I love Dwayne Casey. He did a lot of good things for the Raptors, but in some ways, these two older coaches are stubborn with their game plans. Like, they're not as nimble in the coaching strategy changes and adjustments in game. Sure, they may be good at adjusting from game to game in between with time, days in between, but in game situations, they may not have the balls to say, I want to make this change right here and right now, and you try and do this in the middle of the game like Nick Nurse would. See, he's gutsy. Who roll the dice and try crazy shit like a box and one. Whereas Doc Rivers will probably have a game plan coming into the game, tell his team and prep his team this way. And if he has to go off from that game plan, that may be hard for him to do. And that's what we're talking about right there, about in-game adjustments and being stubborn to his game plan that he already had. So yeah, that's part of actually what I was going to talk about in the matchup between the coaches. Monique saying Wendy Sparks, Kim's mom, was on Metro Morning this week. Check it out. Yeah, Wendy Sparks is awesome. She's always making content with the NBA Moms podcast, interviewing different NBA players and moms about being NBA moms and stuff like that. She's a little superstar. Like, she's getting her own audience and stuff like that in different ways. It's a really good show because it really does kind of show another side to NBA life, the mother's side of watching the child play and stuff like that. And, different things like that. And the community between the moms is really fun. And it's really a great place for moms of any kids to hear like mothers' stories about how they deal with being a mother in this special situation as an NBA mom and stuff like that. But it's great stuff. I always, if it's something to do with Kim's mom, I say go check it out. That's got Raptor Freak seal of approval. All right, Paul B saying maybe after the series we need to start the Scotties better, or better yet, Siakam's better chance. Yeah, I mean, we don't need to do that. We're not playing Orlando. I mean, that's when we really need to do Scotty's better, is when we're playing Orlando Magic. But yeah, Siakam's better. That may work in regular games, like in any kind of game. Just as far as Siakam being better at scoring and getting loose and getting whatever he wants on the court. Because that's really what we're wanting to see, is Siakam be the most dominant, no questions, the top player on the court. That's like when Michael Jordan got on the court, everybody's like, he's the best player out here. And I love when Pascal plays a game and he's so dominant, he plays so well that it's just evident. You have to say, on this basketball court tonight, he was the best player on the court because he got a triple-double and he's got 35 points or something like that. That's what I love. And then the last time we played Philadelphia in the regular season, he was the best player on the court with Embiid and Harden and whoever else out there. You had to say, yeah, even though Embiid got 30 points and 10 rebounds, Pascal got 35 points and a triple-double. So that's what we want Pascal to be, is to be the most dominant, best player on the court as often as he can be. And that's the matchup I'm going to talk about. Embiid and Pascal being the superstar, the top guy. We'll talk about that when I get to it. I want to get through everybody here first, and then we'll go do that. Click 2 a.m. saying the Raptors got Luke Walton fired. We'll probably get the Hawks coach fired because we slapped their ass. And the Hornets coach, the Hornets were a 6 seed, and once we passed them, they fell off completely. Well, that it is a dumb way that, like, once again, they slide us in the American media and the bias and say, oh, the Raptors are so bad. And then when we come in and we trash a team, they're like, oh, you're so bad, you lost the Raptors. Well, they got to start realizing the Raptors are good, and that is why they're getting beat. And it's not that that team's so horrible they're losing to a horrible team, because the people are losing their jobs. because of this, like Luke Walton did earlier this season with the Sacramento Kings. But, I don't know if the guy, the Nate McMillan's the coach of Atlanta right now. He's pretty good right now, and they did great last night. They kicked Charlotte's ass out of the playoffs last night. They're going to play. Who are they playing? They're going to play Cleveland for the chance to play Miami in the first round and stuff like that. So Atlanta's in good shape. Nate McMillan's all right. And but the Hornets coach, yeah, he may be in trouble. I could see that possibly happening. But yeah, we have been known for this, like ending coaches' careers because we beat their team and then they get fired a couple days afterwards. Evelyn's saying, thanks, Lex, for that positive note. Evelyn, you're a badass. You're like my partying grandma friend. Like, I love that you revealed yourself last weekend as a partying grandma. And I love that. We need everybody in this fan nation to step up and be proud of who they are and just be varied in everybody. I love it. I want all ages. I want everybody from all walks of life, everybody like in all kinds of ways, because that is really what Raptor Nation is like one of the most like diversified fan nations in the whole entire world, the Raptors fan nation. I love it. Paul B saying Raps in 6, Raps over Heat in 7, Raps over Bucks in 6, and Raps over Suns in 7. Paul B putting that line, that path to glory right in front of us. Well, let's take it one game at a time, one play at a time. And we'll see how far we can go. Like I said, Nick Nurse says for a long playoff run. So these guys, listen, Fred said at the beginning of the season, it's like you want to mess around, you try and get in the playoffs, get your foot in the door, and then it's on after that. And we got our full foot, actually our whole body in through the door. We didn't even just stick our foot and catch the door in the play-in and to sneak in. We walked right in through the door because we got a full playoff spot. And this is the thing. Fred says, if you get us in the playoffs, fuck around and see what we'll do, because we're that kind of team that believes in themselves, even when nobody else believes in us. And they know what they're doing, and they're going to take it day by day. And one of the things they kept saying yesterday is to be very even keeled, that there's going to be the highs and the lows of playing in playoff basketball, that at any given moment, you may feel them in the game, like a very low point, a mess up, a fuck up. But you got to stay even keeled and keep going. And you may feel really high, jubilant ones, but stay even keeled and just keep going. Is that kind of thing. It's that kind of professionalism that they're trying to instill. Pascal and Fred from their own experience in the playoffs already. Thad Young from his experience as a 15-year vet, instilling this even-keeled mentality on young guys like Precious Achua and Scotty Barnes for them to be ready for what's going to happen on Saturday night. Oh, yeah, it's all about being even-keeled. Even-keeled. They kept saying that. Even-keeled. All right, let's see. Click 2 AM saying, I hope they don't wait until the end of the season to announce awards. They should announce it before the first games in the playoffs. I was looking at it, and I was trying to find out when they're going to announce the Rookie of the Year award, and they are going to announce it right around when they do the championship. So we shouldn't expect anybody to get any awards too soon. That they are going to wait and see how people do in the playoffs or something. That could be good for Scotty, honestly. Like if Scotty gets really good play in this first round against Philadelphia and we beat Philly and we're in the second round, that's going to go a whole far way in the voters' minds for Rookie of the Year. So in some ways, we want the Rookie of the Year award to be put off. Like if they voted right now, they're just going to fucking give it to one of these assholes, So it's really good that they're waiting and maybe seeing how these guys do in the playoffs for a bit. So that's how I feel about it, at least. Chriscom, great Chriscom's here. Let's see what he's saying. Let's go, Raps. I'm getting hyped for the series. I made 600 on the Raps making the playoffs. Now trying to figure out my wager for the series. Good stuff, Chriscom. Of course, you're a mentalist. You shouldn't be allowed to gamble on games. Because you can predict the future with your ESPN. See, that's not even fair. That's easy money for him. And I love that the number was 600. You made 6 big ones in the 6, baby, on Toronto betting. I love that, Chriscom. Bravo. I encourage every Raptor fan to take advantage of the Vegas odds that always slight us to make money. Yeah, that's an easy way to make money. They have these make money seminars. Well, mine would be simple. Is they come in and they say, hey, bet on the Raptors because you're always going to make money because they're wrong. That's what I would say in my make money seminar, and it would be over. I'll be saying, that's it. Just bet on the Raptors. You'll make money, and there you go. Boom, making money. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much, Chriscom, that you did that. Oh, so good. Click to him saying we're aggressive and physical team. If foul calls are less common in the playoffs, our defense will be even better. I just hope that we don't complain about calls on offense. If you miss, get back on D. Yeah, this is important. Gary was showing a little bit too much of this by laying on the ground, trying to get the call, and then not getting back and messing up our defense on the other end. This is the thing that the Raptors are doing right now that is really smart. They're in deep communication with the referees about what they're going to call and how they're going to call it and stuff like that. So they're actually asking, like Chris Boucher specifically is talking to the refs and saying, well, how should I play this so you won't call a foul? And they're trying to learn from each ref crew each night because they're different with different personalities and styles of how they like to ref. So that's the thing. If they're showing an aptitude and listening and a respect towards the ref crew about how they want to call it, instead of fighting against it or trying to get what they want or showing adjustments in the game as to like, oh, you want me to do this with my arms when he does that and you won't call it? Okay. And I listen to you and I show you that I'm listening to you. The refs will start giving us calls. And that's really the smart way to do it with our defense is to adjust and communicate with the ref crew about how they want to ref the game. And that could be a huge advantage. Couple that with us being the team that's working the harder on the court, like getting the rebounds, getting the loose balls, just putting in a better effort, and the refs will reward you. So those two things together are the best strategy for how to get positive reffing from the ref crews. Now, like the regular season, I'm going to go each game. I'm going to look at the ref crew ahead in the morning, and we're going to go over who's reffing for us for each one of these games and talk about the possible negatives and positives in the ref crew that we have coming up for each game. So it's really exciting, but that's the way I look at it with that. And I think you're right that if they're going to let it call it physical and they're not going to call a lot of calls, that always favors us. That has actually favored us a lot this season. That when they swallow the whistle and they're not calling hardly any fouls, that's good for the Raptors. Oh, yeah, it is. Monique's saying, listen here, Mobley has been out due to injury for weeks and now out of the play-in, shaking my head. Scotty Roy for the win. Well, he's got one more game. He's got to win this one against Atlanta to get Miami. And yeah, he did come back and play a couple games right at the end of the season. He looked good. But, like I was saying earlier about this Rookie of the Year voting, it could be very interesting how it goes down. And it could be super close. Like super close. And in those cases, the NBA may make a call and say, we're making them co-rookies of the year. And Scotty Barnes better be one of them. It better not be no co-rookies of the year, Evan Mobley and Cade Cunningham. I'll be like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Oh, yeah, I would be. Chris comes saying Blue Jays making some money too because their odds makers south of the border once again has us the lesser team. Got to take advantage. There we go. Chris comes saying this strategy on betting on the Blue Jays works just as well. I've heard such good things about their team this week. Like Vlad Guerrero had some amazing game against the Yankees yesterday or the day before or something like that. And they're winning a lot. So kudos to the Blue Jays. I'm so happy to hear that they're doing well. But once again, I don't watch them and I don't know enough about them. So I can't talk too in depth about the Blue Jays, but I do root for them. That is my MLB team, and I love them, and I want them to win. But all my energy is on this team, baby, the Raptors. That's my team. Oh, yeah. Raymond Jacobs saying, did you guys know that Doc Rivers got his nickname from always wearing Dr. J clothing? That's it? Yeah, that sounds about right. Listen, I have had a long relationship with knowing who Doc Rivers is. I first saw Doc Rivers play live in like 1988 for the Atlanta Hawks. I went to a Hawks game in Atlanta at the Omni. Dominique Wilkins, Spud Webb, Doc Rivers. And we're playing Boston Celtics, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale. And that was a badass game. But back then I had Doc Rivers trading cards. I had his NBA hoops card, Glenn Doc Rivers. And I do believe that that is right, that he used to wear Dr. J clothes, so they called him Doc. It's definitely derivative of Dr. J that he got the nickname Doc and stuff like that. But his name's Glenn, guys. So if you're going to the game like Sue, start yelling, hey, Glenn, hey, Glenn. Yell it at him because I don't think he likes using the name Glenn for some reason. I don't know. He's always wanted to use Doc. But that is a good, interesting factoid about where he got his nickname. Doc is from Dr. J. It really is, for sure. I remember that. Monique saying Harden is aging. Yeah, he is aging. Like him and Westbrook in some ways are similar because they rely so much on certain athletic gifts for their offense. And Westbrook has hit that wall, and he is washed. He is absolutely washed. That is a huge part of why the Lakers fucked up this year, is because Westbrook is washed. And Harden, to a degree, maybe also in some ways. Oh, yeah. Famid Sadiq, good to see another new name. We're here every morning. Starting time is 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. You will see me on live streaming on YouTube, talking about daily Raptor stuff. So please come join us and hit that red subscribe button. It really helps me with my numbers. I'm trying to get to 1,000. Famid saying Harden should have never helped the Rockets. That's the only team that complemented his playing style. Westbrook always needs the ball. Westbrook plays for stats, not the win. Yeah, these are both good points. Harden really did fit the Rockets style, and the Rockets tried really hard to build around him and make his style work. But it doesn't. You can't play no defense and expect to win in this league. And that's going to be the biggest problem with him in this series also, is he doesn't play good defense. And we're going to pick him apart, is what I'm saying. But yeah, Westbrook also, what your point about Westbrook is exactly right. He plays for stats. He doesn't necessarily play for the win. It's like Kyle Lowry's a triple-double hunter. He wants to get his triple-doubles, but he's not going to sacrifice the ability of his team to try and win in his quest for a triple-double. He's able to do it at the same time, where he's like, I'm going to help my team win for sure, but I'll get that triple-double as a side quest. Whereas Russell Westbrook's quest is, my main quest is to get a triple-double, and I don't give a shit if my team wins, is basically what's going on here. Yeah, I totally agree with what you just said there. Top of top 21. I got Raps in 5, unless Siakam shows up and Fred is zero threat to drive, then it's Philly in 7. Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot of assumptions there. I think that Pascal's playing too good, and it's not like it's going to be like the bubble. When he came into the bubble, he was so out of shape. He was trying to condition himself back into playing shape. And we took the Celtics to game 7 and really battled them good with a Siakam that was not prepared or ready in any kind of way. Well, we know Siakam is prepared and ready right now. In fact, he may be running at his top level with his engine in his whole entire career right now. So, hey, God have mercy on the rest of the NBA, because Pascal Siakam is playoff ready this time. And we don't have to worry about any bubble stuff with conditioning. That's for sure. And as far as Fred, I don't know if it's exactly super important that Fred is a driving threat, because we do have other guys that may be more important driving threats. Fred really can be like that guy guides and directs, and then hits like open threes. Like if they lay off him and he can shoot a logo 3, bam, hit that, stuff like that. But his driving is not going to be usually good, because, you going down to that basket and Joel Embiid's down around there, he's going to get blocked. So in some ways, I don't like it when Fred's driving to the basket against a big center or stuff like that, because you normally look bad. Like he gets blocked. Fred gets blocked a lot. So I'm more with him being an outside shooter. And then somebody like Gary maybe should be the guy who's driving to the basket instead, because he's showing some really good ability to finish with these teardrop shots in traffic with guys around him, and it just falls in, stuff like that, especially in the last couple of games. Banana Bread 10 said, woo, what up, y'all? Yes, Banana Bread 10. Tomorrow, guys, I'm going to do my first ever Raptor Freak Friday freak out, and it's going to be all about hyping up the playoff matchup for Saturday. I am going to go off on a rant to get us cheered and set up for badass energy, positive Raptor fan energy going into this playoff series, believing in the Raptors, and just going off, just talking so much smack on Friday, tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Be ready for that. Oh, yeah. Monique's saying, I always say this, make your free throws is a must. Let's frustrate Doc like always. Yeah, I like that. Like the free throws are real important. We have more success when we shoot well at the free throw line. When we have bad free throw shooting games, that has cost us some games this year, and that sucks. So these guys really need to take these to heart and really try. And there's particular players that I worry about most. Like Precious is one of them. And Delano Banton, come on, man. You've got to do way better at free throws if you're going to play, that is. JT416, good morning, my friend, JT. Hope all is well, my friend. I can't wait for this series. I'm pumped to thrash these frauds. We, the North, will rise past the second round. We are just better all around. I love that attitude, and I agree with you, JT. We have, listen, I'm going to do this breakdown. I haven't even gotten into the meat of what we're going to do today, which is my research. I'm going to go position by position, and I'm going to talk about advantages that both teams have at different places. I'm pretty fair. I talk about where the Sixers have an advantage over us and stuff like that. So it's about 9:05. What's good? What's good is a 6 o'clock game one against the Philadelphia 76ers starting on Saturday night. And it is going to be so badass to have Toronto Raptors playoff basketball to watch once again. Oh, yeah, we're getting excited. We're only 2 days away. Oh, yeah, it's going to be good. JT saying, shout out to Party and Grandma. Let's go, Raps Nation. Yes, party on, Grandma Evelyn. Party on. Ooh, 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 chug, 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 chug. Yeah, I want to see Evelyn do a keg stand. Yes, that is what it's all about. Monique said, fun fact, Earl and Trevor Gleason made their first playoff appearance as Raptor assistant coach. Let's go. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think Trevor Gleason's been an NBA coach until this year. And Earl Watson, I don't know if he actually, wait, he was a playoff coach. Wasn't he a playoff coach for the Suns, though? Didn't he coach for the Suns at some point? Maybe me in the playoffs. I'm not sure if that's true. Maybe he wasn't a coach on their team. I don't know. I don't know all the distinctions for sure. The name's Chip. You fellas are lucky you didn't get my Bucks, or it would be good night for Canada. Who do you think was the MVP? All right, we got Bucks fan in here already. It's a little preemptive, but hey, we love Bucks fan too. You know what? I would say you're lucky you didn't get us since we swept you this year. That's one thing I would say. But who do I think was the MVP? I mean, everybody's kind of going with Embiid just because he won the scoring title. In some ways, I kind of want to give him that kudo. Like, go ahead and give the MVP to him. I don't like giving it to Jokic a second time. I'm kind of with Kevin Durant as far as what he's saying. He's saying that you shouldn't be a two-time MVP when it's that close. That Jokic got it last year, and then maybe he shouldn't be the MVP this year, and that they maybe should just give it to Embiid. Now, I would pick your guy, Giannis, but he's won it also before and stuff like that. I think Embiid needs to get the flowers this time. So I'm picking Joel Embiid, even though he's the opponent for us in the first round. I think Joel Embiid should be the NBA MVP. That is my choice personally. So there you go. But maybe I would pick Giannis second and then Jokic third. I know people will be like, what? You're picking Jokic third? I'm like, yeah, he was a goon. He pushed that guy. He hurt him. He's kind of a chump, you know, in some ways and stuff like that. I have more respect for Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo than Nikola Jokic, is what I'm saying. Sheldon Wilson is here. Good to see another new name. Agree with the Kyle comment. If we lost and Kyle had great numbers, he would be upset. He'd be like, what does it matter? We lost the game. He's solid for that. Yeah, that's real important. Like, that was part of the whole thing with his comeback, the return game recently, the one that I went to and got COVID at, is that it was really important to him that the Miami Heat won that game. And that was his most important objective. Besides all the accolades and the love from the crowd, he wanted to win and make sure that Miami won. And that's what he did. All right, Paul B saying Giannis and Drew aren't going to let the Bucks fall until the Raptors have their way. Listen, Bucks fan, you don't want us too soon because we're a tough matchup for y'all. You know that we got kryptonite for Giannis Antetokounmpo. If any team in this league with our long arm monsters, our lambs, as Greg puts it, are coming at Giannis, we can stifle him. We know how to stop him. We have OG Anunoby, we have Pascal Siakam, we have different guys that can slow down Giannis. So you don't want to see us too soon. And in fact, I think the way it lines up is we'll play Philly. We beat Philly. We'll probably play the winner of Miami and whoever gets the play in, and it'll probably be Miami. So we'll get Miami in the second round, and then the third round, it'll probably be maybe the Bucks. But the Bucks got to get through their bracket first, like whether it's playing the Chicago Bulls in the first round, and then they got to go and play the winner of Brooklyn and Boston. That's going to be a tough series, and that will be a really weird, interesting one. Whoever wins between those and stuff like that. So the road for the Bucks is not easy, and they may end up seeing the Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that will be very fun. I would love that. Monique saying, if Gary Trent Jr. dropped 30 points all season long, can you just imagine him in the playoffs? Jordan Bolton is so pumped on Twitter. Hopefully he can come to Toronto game one. Yeah. King Bolton has been going off. They're talking about Gary. Gary's feeling real good. Like, listen, Nick Nurse said something about Gary's feeling really himself and real good. And you see it. Like, before the games, Gary has a smile on his face. Like, at the beginning of the year, Gary hardly ever smiled. You never, ever saw Gary smiling. Like he's just, you could tell he's very serious and maybe thinks a lot. And now he's more loose. Like him and Pascal both have had joy on their faces in all kinds of different places. Like you see them before the game and they're goofing and they're laughing and they're smiling. I had not seen Gary that happy until the last couple weeks. Like he is really feeling like his niche in the team, his place on the team as his position and what he does and provides for the team, and he's having success. So that's gotta feel good. So you want these guys coming around. All right, once again, there's always at least one siren. It's just where I live. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. If Gary feels good, let's see what happens. It's because and Nick was saying he could be wide open and miss shots, but then he could have like all these guys around him, and he's making all the shots too. So Gary's if he's feeling good, he's probably going to make them. Oh yeah, Paul B saying Nick Nurse is over Coach Budenholzer. Yeah, I agree with that. We've seen that actually happen before. Like he has outcoached Coach Budenholzer before. And it's no reason why we can't think he can't do it again. And Paul B's also saying the Raptors wall is better than Giannis's points. Yeah, we can neutralize Giannis in a lot of different ways, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Random Gamer 23, if you beat Philly, that's a big if. Joel coming for y'all's heads after that 2019 series. Well, let him try and come for our heads. There's a lot of heads he's going to have to collect because there's a lot of Raptors who are going to mess him up. Yeah, Random Gamer, we'll see. This is the thing. I will say this to both Bucks and Sixers fan. Until you guys beat us in the playoffs the last time, we've swept the Bucks in the regular season. We beat the Sixers in the regular season 3-1. Until you guys do it, then I won't believe in you. We have your number right now. And your two superstars, Embiid and Antetokounmpo, we have formulas for them on how to work it out and stop them. So let's not get too confident in Joel Embiid and what he's going to do to the Raptors, because we may not have Marc Gasol at this point, but he definitely left a playbook behind. And we do have younger, quicker guys coming in trying to guard Joel Embiid than we did when Marc Gasol did. And so we can take a little bit of the expertise from what Marc Gasol did to Joel Embiid, but put it in these youngsters and let them all kind of, look out. I don't think he's going to do as much as you think he is. Seriously. But I love that y'all are coming in here, fans of other teams, and talking with us. This is great. We love and respect all NBA fans as long as they love and respect us too. We'll show you the same kind of respect. A little bit of trash talk's always good. The name's Chip saying Raptors wall is made out of glass. Okay, this guy thinks our wall is made out of glass. Well, you know what? That's not actually true because our guys don't get hurt. Like if our guys were getting hurt, then I would say that. But listen, this is the thing. We beat y'all every single time we played you this year. If you had something to prove against us, you would have beat us at one point this season. Bobby Portis did a real solid for us when he got in Pascal Siakam's face. He basically woke us up. We just lost the Pistons and we were downtrodden. And you kind of, being a bully wakes up the spirit in somebody and they say, fuck you, we're not going to let you bully us and we're going to kick your ass. And that's basically what we did. But I think you're too early here. And listen, the Raptor will beat a deer any day. We will chomp it up and chew it up and spit it out and eat it like venison. That's what a dinosaur does. They love a nice, healthy meal. Yum, yum. All right, let's see what else is going on here. Sheldon Williamson is saying Embiid should get the MVP. He needs to be acknowledged for his accomplishments this year before we send him home. Yeah, another reason why I like what Sheldon's saying is give him some kudos, give him some flowers. Maybe he'll be a little happy about it and he won't feel so sad when we put him out this time. Maybe he'll be like, well, I did win MVP and stuff like that. And the future's bright for the Sixers in different ways, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like what Giannis won a championship last year when we weren't involved in the playoff picture because we had a bad year, COVID year in Tampa. And that's part of the only reason why the Milwaukee Bucks won the championship, because the Raptors weren't there to put your fucking ass out. And that's what I'm saying. Y'all ain't proved nothing. We are still top dog in the East. You may have won the championship last year, but you didn't go through us. And you're going to have to figure out how to go through us this year, Bucks fan. But you're here too early. You're 2 rounds too early. Maybe come see me in a month or so, all right? Because you're a little too early. Like Suns fan was way too early the other day. And now Bucks fans showing up a little too early. Oh, yeah, a little too early. We're talking with Sixer fan right now. I'm sorry. Scotty Barnes is a superstar in the making. This is Paul B. Yes. 2019 had Jimmy Butler, Simmons. 2022 has Niang, Thibault, vaccine pending. Listen, I won't disagree with what Paul's saying here. The Sixers were a better team in 2019 than they are now. Jimmy Butler is a way better player, an important player that they had at that year. And JJ Redick, different players like that. They had so many different kind of like key players that mattered in that series that went to 7 and Kawhi shot. This year, I don't think your roster is as quality. Now, Yang is actually pretty good. Like he is somebody in my breakdown that I kind of worry about a little bit. But for the most part, I think that this Sixers team is not as good as 2019. And a lot of people will say, well, your team isn't as good as 2019 either. Yes, in some ways, maybe as far as experience and veteran presence, but our team is actually better in some ways also. Like our defense this year, I think is actually better than the championship year. That there's been parts of games where like 6 minutes we completely shut a team down. Milwaukee, we did that to you a few times this year. Don't get it twisted. We shut your team down and you didn't score for like 7 minutes straight. So it's stuff like that is like, these are different teams, but in some ways I feel like the Raptors may have more potential and more of a higher ceiling than people realize because they're so new, some of the players and stuff like that. Jordan Yukon is here. Good to see you, Jordan. I remember watching Joel score 0 in his return to Toronto. Laugh out loud. I was sitting behind the basket and got to Drake as I walked past the announcer's table. Cool stuff, Jordan. That's a cool memory. Yeah, I remember that game where Joel didn't score anything against us in one game. We shut him out also. I remember that game. Tom Duke saying, not really a big if all we do is whoop Philly's crying ass. All right, let's be nice. Philly fan is here. And like I said, I don't like making fun of Joel Embiid for crying after that series because honestly, it humanized him for me. It made me feel like, well, this is just a big kid who's feeling real emotions and stuff like that. And he's going to get piled on in all kinds of different ways. People are going to make fun of him, bully him from crying like he did. And to me, there's nothing wrong with that. He felt the emotion in the moment. In fact, in some ways, it endeared me more to him because he cared that much, that he was that upset in that kind of way and stuff like that. So Monique's saying we can make Embiid uncomfortable, so you better watch what you say. I love it. And Monique's being feisty this morning. I love it. I love it. I love it. Chip's saying, haha, fear the deer. And he's got the little deer emoticon. And JT416 says, that's food. That is food. Oh, the shit talking strong today. I love it. Tom Duke saying Embiid probably sucking hard on that soother because he's just like a afraid big puppy. We gave him that soother again just the other day. Yeah. All right. I'll let y'all do all this kind of shit talking. For me, I'm going to respect the possible NBA MVP of the season. And, that's fine. But you guys go ahead. I'm not against y'all talking shit. You go ahead. It's cool, Tom. Paul B saying Bucks and 5 over Bulls. Okay, see, look, Bucks fan, he's giving you some kudos that he thinks you're going to beat Chicago. Bucks and 7 over the Nets. Ooh, so he thinks the Nets will beat the Celtics, and then you'll have to go 7 games against the Nets, and then the Raptors and 6 over the Bucks. Yeah. So you see, Paul keeps laying out these paths for us to see how we could get the championship. And I think that these are pretty, like, they could happen that way. So who knows? Tom Duke saying, dear, oh dear, time on your hands. You still got to win a few games before you think of us. Yeah, that's true. That is true. We're not going to Milwaukee fans YouTube channel right now. No, we don't. We take it step by step. You guys are a little preemptive. And you know what? Actually, Milwaukee fan being here so early, it kind of legitimizes that we are a threat. That, wait, why are you here, Milwaukee fan, if we're supposed to be put out in the first round? Why are you worried? Are you concerned that the Raptors, you might have to face them at some point? Because that's what it really is. When you come in here and talk to us, it kind of shows your hand and says, well, they're worried about us. And that's why they're preemptively coming in here to talk shit. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. Thank you for legitimizing us, just like the Phoenix Suns fan did the other day. It's like, dude, you don't have to worry about us till the finals. And you're already here. So you actually think that we can make it to the end of the finals on the Eastern side? Ooh, thank you for that compliment, Phoenix Suns. And I will say the same thing to Milwaukee Bucks fan right now. Thank you for that compliment that you think we're going to face you in the Eastern Conference Finals, because that means we're going to get some places. Oh, yeah, I love it. Raymond Jacobs saying, fear the deer, laughing my ass off. Never understood why a team would name themselves after Bambi. Bambi always dies. Well, no, Bambi didn't die. Bambi's mom died. And that was really depressing and sad and stuff like that. I have a graphic from years and years, different times when we played the Bucks in the playoffs. I put it up as my cover photo on Facebook, and it's basically the Raptor logo chewing on Bambi's mother right there, and that's just basically how it is. That's what I'm saying. We love venison. It tastes so good. We love some fresh venison. All right, let's see. Random Gamer has some more to say. If Joel doesn't win MVP, he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder. He might just average 40 and 15 for the series and destroy everybody, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see because that's not very realistic. He's not going to average 40 and 15 against the Raptors. No. He had his best game against the Raptors in the last game, and it was 30 and 10. And also, they lost. So your guy can get big stats, but you ain't going to do jack shit otherwise. Go ahead and get 30 and 10 from Joel Embiid, but you are dreaming if you think he's going to average that much. Maybe he can do that against most of the league, but not against the Raptors. The Raptors do not allow that kind of production from Joel Embiid, and don't get twisted. You'll realize this. And also, listen, if he doesn't win MVP, he's not going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's not that kind of guy. He's more likely to be like, oh, well, I didn't win it, so I'm just going to keep playing. I don't see that from him and his personality, because like in some ways he's already conceded that he doesn't think he's going to win it. I've heard him say a couple things in different ways that make me feel like he's a little shaky about it himself. So that's not the way you want an MVP candidate to be. You kind of want that confidence at least, but in some ways he's kind of like already making concessions like, oh, I think it might be because of this reason or this reason that I might not win it. He's already saying shit like that. He shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't be doing that. It's because it hurts his chance. But I think he'll get it. I hope he gets it. Honestly, I really do. Because like leading the league in scoring as a center is a really big accomplishment, and that has not been done very recently. And I appreciate him for that. Like I said, I don't hate Joel Embiid. I like Joel Embiid as a player and a person. I'm not like some of the other Raptor fans here that are making fun of him and stuff like that. I think he's a great player, and I like him as a person. I think he's a cool dude. And, there's other guys on the team that I like too. I like Maxey, but I hate James Harden, and I hate most of your bench guys. They're annoying, like Korkmaz and Niang. They're fucking fucks. I hate those guys. But yeah, the Joel Embiid and Maxey, I have a lot of respect for. But yeah, he's not going to take it out on us. Come on, you give me a break. There's no way he's not taking nothing out on us. JT416, not even Elmer Fudd would fear a deer. I thought I saw a pooty tat. I did saw a pooty tat. Death 4K, he's so hardcore, he had to retract his message. I hope you say something else, Death. Good to see you. Andrew saying, Alexey, let's go. Playoffs. Woo! We made it, y'all. That's right. Everything is gravy after this because every expert, every fucking person who really thinks they know the NBA said, oh, the Raptors aren't going to be in the playoffs. There's no way the Raptors make the playoffs. Saying all this bullshit all year. Motherfucker, we're in the playoffs and we're about to make some motherfucking noise. Let's go, Andrew. Woo! Yeah, I love that shit. Paul B saying a lot of my Raptors playoff hopes have been destroyed by LeBron. This is a new era, and we are stacked with Scotty, Gary Trent Jr. shot create. Thad, vet steadiness. I've never been more confident. Playable centers, precious. Paul, you're right. We've got a lot of good weapons and a lot of different things that we can use. And I'm going to break it down as soon as I can get to it. I'm just going through the comments real quick before, and then I'll do my breakdown for how I see the series. Random Gamers continuing. Man, I just want the playoffs to start already, regardless of who wins the series. As just a basketball fan, it jumped. This is going to be a fun playoffs this year. Yeah, you know what? I can get with this too. The Sixer fan is excited about the playoffs. We are excited about the playoffs. And it's just a great time of the year. And we're happy that we're involved this year. Like last year sucked. It was so depressing. Last year was just horrible. Being in Tampa, not having games here in Canada, all the different things with that and stuff like that. It's just like wipe the slate of last year. But this year, it's made it all the more sweeter. Because we got our playoffs here in Toronto. We can actually play in our arena. We're not in a bubble. We're not in fucking Tampa, any of that kind of shit. And yeah, I totally share this genuine love that Random Gamer 23 has just for NBA action in the playoffs and being able to watch it. Yes, respect. Death 4K saying, can we expect the media blaming Harden's or Daryl Morey's failure if we win? I already know the media will say that Sixers were an easy opponent if we win. Yeah, they're going to soften the blow. They're going to do all kinds of bullshit. Like it's once again propaganda, media spin to all kinds of different ways to slight any kind of accomplishments that the Raptors do. They'll make up excuses. They'll say, oh, this or that, whatever. And we just have to expect it and just do what we do. And the reality of it is the wins. The reality is of us continuing to go on and stuff like that. And that'll be enough in itself. 2019 proved that. And if we can do something similar to what happened in 2019 this year, it'll prove it more and more. And I love it. And they will make excuses, and jobs will be lost. Doc Rivers will get fired and probably go to the Lakers. James Harden will be turned on by the Sixers fans and hate him. And then there will be more issues with that because they have another player that they can't stand who's fucking up their team. And there's already grumblings of that kind of thing. So if he doesn't try and he fucks them up in this series against us, they're going to turn on him. And it'll be hard for James Harden to be a Sixer because that is the kind of thing that the Sixer fan demands of their players is they want them to try. They want them to be on the same page and trying to get a championship. And James Harden is dubious about that factor in his own character. And that's the thing. And yeah, they can blame Daryl Morey. They can blame Ben Simmons for what he fucking did to them this year. There's all kinds of great excuses for the reasons why a team at the beginning of the year was supposed to be a top championship contender falls apart in the first round to a team that wasn't even supposed to be in the playoffs. Yeah, they're gonna have to write a narrative about that if that happens. The name's Chip, Bucks fan. I'm just seeing if I can steal some info to help my Bucks out. Yeah, man, don't. That's fine. This is all common knowledge kind of stuff. Totally. If we get to the point where we're playing y'all in the playoffs, come and watch me again. I'll lay it all out on the table like I'm about to do for the Sixers fans right now. Oh, yeah, I'm going to lay it all on the table and appreciate it. Seriously, like, once again, this world is so divisive between left and right politics, vax and anti-vax, and all kinds of bullshit in this world. I like to bridge the divide, even among sports teams. Like, this is just fun. We love the NBA. We love having players on our teams. We love competing. We love watching the games. We love seeing dunks. We love seeing superstars like Giannis. So it's like, that's a general love that we all share. We may root for different teams, but we always need to remember that common bond of the love of the sport of basketball that we were just talking about with Random Gamer and Chip. And that's badass. I love it. I love it. Random Gamer saying, laughing my ass off. I'm starting to hate Harden as well. See, we can see it. The writing's on the wall. Houston fan hates him. Brooklyn fan hates him. It's just a pattern. It's a pattern of thing. And this is why I've told people, like, there were a bunch of Raptor fans up here making content about how we get James Harden. We trade him for like this person, this person. I'm like, no, you don't fucking put that out in the ether. We do not want James Harden. And if we had done that crazy deal that Kawhi wanted us to do to keep him here, get Paul George and Russell Westbrook and sell the farm with as far as like OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam and stuff like that gone to get these guys come here, our team would be so dysfunctional and fucked up right now. We'd be like the Lakers. And I'm so glad that our GM is like, I want to be GM. And Kawhi, you're not a GM. And it's stuff like that is the difference. And in some ways in the NBA, the way you have a good team in the NBA is the health of your franchise. Is there dysfunction? Do you have an owner like the New York Knicks do? Do you have a player like LeBron James? And those dysfunctional parts of your team fuck it all up for everything else. And James Harden is that kind of a guy, unfortunately. Like, he will fuck your team up in insidious little ways. You got Pascal Siakam on our team showing, like, working his ass off. He's got $100 million bag contract, and he has not let up. He's coming in and working every day, setting the tone for all the young guys, showing them how to be a franchise badass. And meanwhile, if you have somebody like James Harden playing that role on your team, he will teach them bad habits and things like that. And they'll, like, the young players don't learn as well. So it's really, you want a good functionality all around, whether it's your coach, your GM, your superstar player, and their roles need to be clearly defined to what they're supposed to be doing. Like, your star player should never be your coach or your GM, because that fucks everything up. And that's why both the LA teams are fucked up, because they got their best player as their GMs right now. And it's all messed up. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Monique's saying, everyone, Raptor fans, loving Max off First Take for his comments on Raptors. Let's go. Yeah, he said he bet his house that the Raptors are going to beat the Sixers in the first round. Max Kellerman is betting his house on the Raptors. It's crazy. He's literally saying that. Names Chip is saying, he's saying, who screams "We the North" North Pole isn't real. We don't scream "We the North." We have other chants. "We the North" is just our statement, as put it on my wall here and stuff like that. There's just something an ad campaign person came up with a couple years ago, and it sounded good. Some of my friends down south, where I grew up in Tallahassee, said, "Why are you talking like us down here? We the North." Come on, you need to add some more words in there. Why do you sound like you're from the South? But yeah, we the North. That's just one of our mantras. And some people are saying, well, Minnesota says, well, we're further north than you guys. Well, geographically, that's true. It's funny. Death 4K saying Embiid is right, but Jokic has the highest per in NBA history. His numbers were way better than Embiid's. I've not seen an NBA team recent year with a championship with a center as a main piece. There's a lot in what Death just said here. Yeah, Nikola Jokic's per is way better. And in a lot of ways, statistically, he should be the MVP. It's just what I'm saying is what Durant's saying also, that they're too close. And that when you can't be a double MVP 2 years in a row unless you're way head and shoulders above everybody else. Give that kudo to somebody else if they're really close to him. And that's why I'm saying Embiid should probably win it this year, because it really is a two-person race if you're not counting Giannis. It really is a two-person race. And in that case, you don't give it to Jokic again, because he didn't do that much better than he did last year. And Embiid had a big leap this year in that way. And it's most valuable player. And Embiid's pretty valuable. But I love the second part, what you're saying here, Death 4K. And I totally agree with this, that in some ways, having a big center is a detriment in this league at this point. Like the Raptors style of play and the way they built their roster is showing this. That in some ways, Embiid may be their biggest advantage, but he's also kind of their biggest disadvantage in some ways. And like this center, having a big center thing has been talked about in the last decade in the NBA as whether it's important or is it dead. Like when we had Jonas Valanciunas, we were talking about, well, is this the game's passing him? Like, is he a dinosaur, literally, in a way that the game's past him? That like the big center is important because it's more like what we're doing this year with our team in general. And in some ways, these big guys do hurt them. Like even when we played Denver, Jokic hurt them when we were playing them. And he had to sit big chunks of the game because of the way the Raptors play and stuff like that. And that's going to be similar in this. Like Embiid's either going to get tired in different ways because he's got to chase a guy like Precious around, or he's going to have to be taken out of the game because we are maximizing a mismatch against him and he's hurting the Sixers. So these are two things that are very, very highly possible because they were shown in the regular season games against the Sixers already. So, yeah, I think that they are a detriment. And I think that the way the Raptors built their team without a center is actually a wave of the future and how things are going to go. That sometimes players like Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, they can look real good, have good stats, but they're hurting their team on the down low also. Chip saying, when Bucks win, you have to take that banner down behind you and put up Fear the Deer. I'm not making any bets with any other fans from other fan nations. I'm not like a mayor who say, you got to eat our Buffalo chicken wings at Buffalo. If you lose to us, Dallas, well, you got to eat some Dallas ribs, something like that. We're not doing that, man. And like I said, you're a little early, Chip. I hope you hit the red subscribe button. You remember my channel for when we do match up with y'all in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then come back and get that intel then. And maybe I'll think about making a little side bet with you just for fun. Monique saying, Lex, something to mention for you. You need to pass now to get into Jurassic Park. Thoughts? Okay, yeah, I heard about this. This has come out in the last couple of days because they're opening up Jurassic Park for this Saturday, 6 o'clock. But if you're going to go to Jurassic Park, like I know Paul B and a couple other people were talking about possibly going, but Paul B's going to Built to Spill concert now instead. You need to pre-register on your phone. Go on there and find the Raptors.com or whatever and pre-register to be able to be out there in Jurassic Park outside the arena on Saturday night. So it's a different system than it was before. And this will be much better because it'll be more organized and people can get in and make sure they got a spot before they even come down there. Because sometimes people would just come down to Jurassic and hope they could get in and have been turned away because there's so many people at Jurassic sometimes. See, when I was going to Jurassic, it was very early on. They didn't have anything marked or anything, and there was a free-for-all. You just walk down there and you could stand out there and watch the game as a big, huge crowd. That's when I used to go. I haven't been in a long, long time. Like either I'll go to the game or just watch it at home. But I love that there's a Jurassic Park and that our fans are outside the arena in a huge amount also, making a lot of noise outside, because opposing players have said that they can hear the fans inside the arena and the fans outside the arena because they're so freaking loud out there. And when you have them all the way down the street going towards the CN Tower, that is impressive. Because when they cut the camera angle to the outside to Jurassic Park and they see just how many people are there also outside, it really impresses everybody all around on TV, wherever they are watching it. They see these Raptor fans are serious, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Sue's saying we never take down our banners. Always love and support the Raps no matter what. That's right, Bucks fan Chip. We're not taking down this banner. You're going to have to beat us to get it down. But I'm not even going to take it down then. This is the game. This banner, I said, this flag, I got this at game 1 of the finals. After we beat the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, I got this flag in game 1 against Golden State. At that game, I was sitting in the crowd, and I yelled so loud. The guy who was giving out stuff, he just handed it to me. He didn't even throw it. Like, you know how they throw things to people to get them to them because they're being really loud and cheering? I was so fucking loud. He just handed it to me. He took it out. He said, here, I'm giving you the biggest thing I have. And he handed it personally to me right next to me. And that's how I got that flag. That's from game 1 of the 2019 NBA Finals, the first ever finals game played in Canadian soil in Toronto. And we won that game too. Oh, yeah, we did. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Paul B saying they love our Ibaka. Inside job. Danny Green has our back too. This is something that I wonder about. Like I worry about with Thad Young a little bit, his allegiance to the Sixers on our side. Well, what about Serge Ibaka on the Milwaukee Bucks? What about Danny Green on the Philadelphia 76ers? There is a love and an affinity that these men have for our city and our team. They're champions from our city. And Kyle Lowry, the same thing with Miami. Of course, they're going to try and kill us in different ways. But, you know, there is a little bit of like, if something goes wrong in the game, like Danny Green's bricking shots, they may be thinking like, whoa, is he helping them? You know, kind of stuff like that. Hey, if there's an ambiguity about whether he's helping us or not, or he's just sucking, that's fine with me. Totally fine with that. Sheldon Wilson saying, Raptors fans clown on Embiid because he was so extra with the airplane crap he did. Good for him. It was nice that he celebrated winning that game. We celebrate winning that series and beyond. Yeah, I got to remember that Joel was a little cheeky with his airplane out on the court. You know, that came back to bite him. And now when he comes to Toronto, that's what the fans do to him to jeer him. They start doing the airplane at him in the crowd and stuff like that. So it's all worked out pretty well. Paul B saying they even wanted Bembry and Hood, talking about the Bucks. Andrew's saying Harden, Kyrie, and Simmons are all albatrosses. They might be big fish, but they will sink your ship. I totally agree with this, Andrew. This is totally true. And that's why I don't want any of them on my team. None of them. And add Matisse Thybulle to that list too, because he's another one I don't want on my team. A random gamer saying, okay, even though I hate the Raptors for breaking my heart, I got to subscribe. You seem like a cool guy and not toxic. Just some common trash talk without the toxicity. I love it. Hey, awesome. I love to hear that too, random gamer. You know, part of the problem is in Raptors fan nation, we've had a lot of toxicity among us. Like we have so many fans that are like, trade Pascal, and they get racial and they start talking really fucked up shit. Like when Pascal messed up in the bubble, we had a lot of people turn on him and just kick him while he was down. And I hated that. I'm like, these aren't real Raptor fans. These are people that hate their own lives and they're taking it out on the team that they're supposed to be rooting for. Because you don't treat somebody like that. You got to treat your team just like a child. Unconditional love. They do really well, you succeed and you celebrate with them. When they don't do well, you take it and you rally and you show that you still support them. That kind of stuff. And I love that you just said that, honestly. Like, listen, like I said, this is about NBA community in a lot of ways, but it's also building a positive place. Because this channel, we don't just talk about basketball. I've gotten on off track with the vaccine stuff. I've gotten off track with the Ukraine conflict, and we just kind of share information and talk about things in general in life. Like some of the things I talk about is life skills, life management skills, how to think more positively, how to go for your dreams, how to more believe in yourself. And I'm building that off of being a Raptor fan, because everybody in the media teaches us that we're supposed to be shitty, that the Raptors are the Canadian team. The US media discounts us in all kinds of different ways. And in some ways, it's conditioned our fans to be toxic and put ourselves down and kind of look down on ourselves. And that's part of the reason why I built this channel, is because I wanted a positive place for real fans that can get around this toxicity and really cheer for the team in a positive, supportive way. So I appreciate you saying that. And I hope you do subscribe and you watch as much as you want. Like this whole series, you'll see I'm going to try and be as fair as possible. And like we said, let's see where the chips fall as they may, and having a great time enjoying a great series between Philadelphia and Toronto, the third series in the history of these two franchises. And both of the series before were fantastic. Amazing series, like some of the best NBA series in the history of the NBA. Whether you're talking about in 2001, Allen Iverson versus Vince Carter, or you're talking about in 2019 in that epic 7-game series that came right down to the last second shot of Kawhi Leonard. Holy crap. Let's see if there's more excitement and history from this series that we're starting on Saturday night. That's what I'm saying. Chip saying, you have good energy, sir, but Raps will be on vacation soon enough, and tell Drake to stay in his seat. I appreciate the compliment, Chip. Yeah, let's just see. Hey, LeBron's already on vacation. That's enough for me right now. But yeah, we'll see who's going to be on vacation at different times and stuff like that. We got to play these games. We got to let them see how they happen. As I just said, let the chips fall as they may, and we'll see what happens. Death 4K saying it's simply disgraceful. Not a single analyst called us a contender. They went as far to say that about Cleveland and rub in how much more exceptional Mobley is to Barnes. Cavs are out now. Atlanta win. You think Atlanta's going to beat Cavs? I could see that too. Atlanta really dominated Charlotte last night and did a lot of really important things. They look more like the Atlanta Hawks from last year in the playoffs, because during the season I was like, man, they're not that good. But they did look more like they did last year in the playoffs, Atlanta. And that would be really funny. Actually, would really help us. Maybe us Raptor fans should be a Hawk fan tomorrow night and hope that they put the Cavs out and they get the Miami Heat in the first round, because that will hurt Evan Mobley's Rookie of the Year claims if he's already out in the play-in. And Scotty is the one singular most important rookie in the playoffs playing playoff games. So yeah, let's be Hawks fans tomorrow night and let's see the Cavs get put out tomorrow night. Oh yeah, I'm licking my lips on that one. Oh yeah, I love that. But yeah, Death, we're used to the U.S. media slighting us, ignoring us, not putting us on the graphic, not putting us in the commercial and all that kind of stuff, because we're not a target audience for them. Americans are in the U.S. and they don't. I mean, that's the thing. They could have more Raptor fans in the country if they wanted to have that. But part of the reason why they don't is because the money gets sent to Canada. And it's all economics in some ways. They want the money to stay in the U.S. And when the Raptors won the championship, that was a big economic boon for Canada and Toronto specifically. Like, we made money in this city because of that. And in some ways, that's the deep, insidious reason why the NBA does not promote the Toronto Raptors like they do the rest of the NBA, is because of money, and money made here in Canada instead of being made in the US. That's the pure, simple bottom line of it. Very simply. Raymond Jacobs saying, at the names Chips, Bucks, not two-peating, get real. Repeating is so hard in this league. It's so hard to repeat as a champion, especially when your best player takes off on you in free agency after you win. We know. And that's the thing. I was so happy that the Bucks won the championship last year in our off year, because that is in a way satiating the deer for what they want with their championships. To get a second one is so much harder. And I was like, yeah, go ahead, Giannis, go get one while we're not involved. And then when we're back, yeah, we're going to beat you and put you out. And that's the way I look at it right now. It's like, look, Milwaukee has never beaten us in the playoffs. We swept Milwaukee in the regular season this year, and they have not proven that they can beat the Toronto Raptors. So until then, you guys can be champions right now. Yeah, you won the championship last year. We weren't in the picture, but until you beat us for real in a series, I'm going to say we're better than y'all and that we will beat you. Because all the evidence and the facts point to that. We did it in the regular season this year, and we did it every single time we played y'all in the playoffs in the past. You have not beaten the Raptors in the playoffs. We've beaten you guys at least twice in playoff series in the playoffs, and that's all I'll say about that. So Paul B saying Jurassic Park over Deer District. Yeah, they have a place called Deer District. It's a similar thing. A lot of teams were doing this. They get the outside fans and have an outside viewing party outside the arena. Well, who did that first? We did it here in Toronto first. That's right. Monique saying, yes, the We the North was 6-7 years ago, and we keeping it right off the tongue. Yeah, of course, we'll keep doing it. Chip thinks that Raymond fears the Bucks. I can tell you right now, I know Raymond pretty good from talking to him for a year. He does not fear y'all. I'm going to tell you right now. He's probably sitting at home with a nice, tightly rolled joint, and he is laughing at what you just said with smoke coming out of his mouth. That's probably what Raymond Jacobs doing right now. And he's saying the names Chip, only fearful and insecure trash talkers are the real scared ones. See, all right. See, I'll let them do like that. I'm a diplomat. I'll keep things nice on the level. Raymond wants to go at it. That's fine. Chip's saying also, Paul B, a 12-point buck would take down a raptor in that overgrown toenail. I don't think that's true, because like a velociraptor, like from back in the day, or one from the movies or something like that, a buck is pretty strong with the antlers. I get what you're saying, but yeah, that's tough to say. You know, I do a segment on this channel called The Real Mascot Matchup, and we will, if we have to face the Bucks, I'll describe that fight in anime style of a buck versus a velociraptor and what might go down in that fight. It's very graphic and violent. This is a station that's not for children. We cuss a lot on here, and there is graphic violence described on this channel. Yeah, somebody got mad at me from my last video or something. They said, why are you cussing so much on here? I said, motherfucker, this isn't for kids. This is a real fan, undiluted, unfiltered kind of place where I can say whatever the fuck I want off the top of my head. And I don't want to worry about not cussing or not. I'm not on FM radio right now like I was for 10 years in Florida. So I'll cuss because I can do whatever the fuck I want on this channel. And that's why somebody's like, why are you cussing so much? I'm like, maybe I'll take some of it out over time and be more professional as I hone the channel. But for right now, the cussing's staying. Oh, yeah. All right, let's keep going. Paul B said, we spotted you 2 games. There's no fear. It's kind of sad when you think about it. Weren't we 3-0 against the Bucks this year? Yeah, not scared. Yeah, Paul's saying a lot of what I'm saying already. Andrew's saying, I think our team is built to beat Harden. He's been passing a lot more lately, and our team is built to jump passing lane. Yeah, I've actually been super impressed with the passing that I saw from James Harden in the game that we played against them. Like, he gets like 15 assists a game right now. And in some ways, that is very valuable because he's kind of good at threading the needle. Like, he's really good at seeing guys like out of the side of his eye and getting it to them all of a sudden. Now it's just a matter of them making the shot and stuff. But it's interesting that Harden isn't really relied on himself to score like he used to. Like, it really, I think it has a lot to do with the new rules, with how he can't do these these fouls. He's getting more offensive fouls when he like steps out or kicks out or hits his arm or something like that. So it's kind of like he's kind of like taking his offensive game and like stripped it down and not doing a whole lot and trying to play off other guys instead, because he's been getting burned with the new calls, the new rules that they made for specifically him and Trae Young, because of the way they were kicking out and trying to get fouls with contact by initiating contact themselves. So in some ways, I think that's part of why James has been more quiet as an offensive player this year, is because he got burned way too much by the refs and the new rules. So yeah. Chip saying the Bucks Nation's taking over Raptor Freak channel. We'll see about that. Come on. I just like, hey, listen, hit that red subscribe. Bring more Bucks fans in here. That's fine. It'll be interesting. Jordan's saying, I think it's the Leafs fans that cross over who give us the toxic impression. Yeah. Yeah, I've talked about that phenomenon a lot, Jordan, is that Leaf fan is very like pessimistic. They're very negative because the Leafs have been so shit for so long. They get in the first round and they lose right away. So Leaf fans just expect this kind of disappointment from their team. And they want to treat the Raptors team the same way. It's a totally different animal. That's why I don't like people that are both Leaf and Raptor fans that really treat the teams the same, because they're not the same kind of culture. They're not the same kind of team and what you should expect from them. And that's very true, Jordan. It's a Leaf fan crossover and Leaf fan mentality bleeding into a Raptor fan nation. And that is where that negativity and cynicism and just like not believing in yourself comes from, because the Leafs have been garbage for so long and disappointed Leaf Nation so many times over and over again. But the Raptors aren't like that. We don't disappoint. We're coming out there to kick some ass. And that was part of what hurt us earlier in our franchise history with losing playoff series, is that Leaf fan was there too watching and like, yeah, they're just like the Leafs. They suck. They're going to go out in the first round. Shit like that. That's the shit I fucking hate. And that's why I'm like, I'm not a Leaf fan at all. I'm a Winnipeg Jets fan. And Leaf Nation pisses me the fuck off because of the way they are in some ways. And when they come in here, and I can tell they're kind of a hockey fan also if they're too negative towards the Raptors and they don't believe in them. Monique's saying Serge will forever look weird in a Bucks jersey. Yeah, that's true. But forever champs with us. That's right. I wonder if he's doing any "How Hungry Are You" episodes with the Bucks players. That will be interesting if he gets Giannis and DeCompto on there, and maybe he makes them eat some disgusting, weird delicacy like goat balls or something. He's like, here, Greek freak, here's some goat balls, a delicacy in your country in Greece. Yeah, you want some balls? Here's some balls in your mouth, Giannis. Yeah, that's what's happening over there with Serge on that team now. But he does look weird in a Bucks jersey. I have seen him in it a couple times. It's crazy. I just noticed Brett the Hitman Hart behind you. I was a Shawn Michaels fan. Remember the epic Iron Man match? Okay, see, this is actually indicative of the matchup for the first round. Bret Hart symbolizes the Toronto Raptors, and Bill Eadie, Demolition Axe, is Philadelphia because he's from Pennsylvania. So I always have like different LJN behind me depending on who we play. And who's the Milwaukee representative? I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's Morocco. I made Magnificent Morocco because you don't really have any wrestlers that are from Wisconsin or Milwaukee. So I made Magnificent Morocco Milwaukee's representative. But I have a representative for each of all the NBA teams. And depending on who we played and if we beat them, you'll see them behind me as an Easter egg. But that's the setup for this matchup. And Brett is Toronto. Brett is Toronto and Axe is Philadelphia. That's what's going on there. But yeah, I like that you noticed that. And I'm a Brett guy all the way. I hate Shawn Michaels so much. This is another place where we do not line up on the same side. Paul B saying, thanks for Norm Powell and OG. Hope you enjoyed Vasquez. Man, Paul's digging up some old stuff. Yeah, Norman Powell was really mad. Here's another one. Oh my gosh, I live near a fire station. Yeah, Norman Powell had a grudge against the Bucks, and whenever we played them in the playoffs, playoff Powell would show up and kill the Milwaukee Bucks because they didn't believe in him. They got rid of him. It was one of these chips on his shoulder because he was in the Bucks organization. They gave up on him, and then he came to our team and he's like, "I'm gonna take it out on them every single time I play them." So it's good to bring up Norman and that awesome stuff. Death 4K saying Thibault is a non-factor for Sixers. You know, the one thing that I hate right now is they're talking about defensive players on the defensive team, and Thibault's name's getting brought up. Is he that fucking good at defense? Like, I don't think that's true. Like, I could name maybe 3 or 4 Raptors that should probably be considered for defensive team over Matisse Thybulle. I'm sorry, he's not that good at defense. People just keep saying he's so good at defense, but I don't believe that. And I listened to his press conference talking about why he's not taking the vaccine and all this stuff. He's so stupid. Like, honestly, I can't believe how dumb this guy is. Like, Sixers Nation, man, why? Why is this dude doing this to y'all? I feel bad for y'all in some ways because the way Thibault's like, well, I took one shot, but then I decided I didn't want to. You know, we're a holistic family. We believe in holistics. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You'll take one shot. Why won't you take the fucking second one? If you've already compromised your principles and you've taken one shot, why wouldn't you just fucking go all the way? It's so stupid. Like, the guy is a dumbass, honestly. That's what I'm saying. And Raymond's conferring that Alexey's described me 100% right. Yeah, so he did. He has a joint. It's very tightly rolled. He's hit it, and he's laughing, and smoke is just billowing out of his mouth. I know Raymond Jacob. I've never met him in real life, but I know this man after months of interacting with him on this channel. I know who he is. It's awesome. Chip saying Raymond is sitting in the dark, scared to death. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's a badass. I don't know what part of Toronto he's sitting in somewhere, but he's having a nice marijuana doobie, and he's very happy. Trust me, he's very happy because his team's in the playoffs, and he's bound to do some damage. Death 4K saying, even if Harden and Embiid both get 30 or 40 a game, no one else can take shots. To beat this Raptors, you need to be a strong overall team and not too heavy. When those players go to the bench, we win. Death is so right here. Like, there's one thing that's true in this world is death. Oh yeah, and Death is telling the truth here. I'm telling you right now. And this was one of the things I was talking about in the watch along yesterday. Is that the old Sixers team that we watched against Vince Carter and the Raptors there was so top heavy with Allen Iverson and Dikembe Mutombo. Like those two guys were so essential, and the rest of their team was kind of garbage. Like there was a lot of just role player guys like Todd McCullough, Matt Geiger, Jermaine Jones, people like that. And this team is similar for the Sixers this year. It's like after you get past Embiid, Maxey, and Harden to an extent, I won't totally say Harden. Those guys there's a little bit of a drop off in the talent after that on this roster. Whereas the Raptors, really, their top 9 guys are all similar in talent in what they're giving and bringing to the team. And what Death is describing here is very accurate to how we've been winning games this year. That you may have 1 or 2 guys that kill it at one point, but then the rest of your team better be doing good things too. And if nobody else shows up to score behind you guys, your guys, like kind of like that game where Kevin and Kyrie scored all those points, but they still lost. Like Kevin Durant got his career high points, 55 points, and he still lost a fucking game. It's like that kind of shit. Like get all these points between 2 guys, but if nobody else on your fucking team's doing jack shit, you lost. Is the kind of thing that Death's describing here. And that is actually going to be a big part of what happens in this series with the Sixers and the Raptors, is that the talent all the way through the roster for the Raptors is going to overwhelm the less deep talent, like premium talent of the Sixers. Is what I'm talking about. Monique saying, everyone, Raptors fans laughing at Thibault. Did anyone see Stephen A. Smith's comment on him? So funny. Yeah, I mean, Stephen A. Smith's been hitting it around out the park recently with his commenting, somebody whether he's supporting Scotty Barnes for Rookie of the Year, the way he went off on the Lakers atrocity. Stephen A. Smith's very entertaining these days for sure. Chip saying, do you think the Raptors championship should have an asterisk on it because of the Warriors injuries? I'm asking for a friend. This is something that gets brought up all the time. This is what I'm going to say. Much like in your championship last year, there were injuries on the Suns side. There's injuries every single fucking year. Like in the NBA 80s, when Magic and Bird played each other so many times in the finals, one time Johnson didn't play and the Celtics won. One time Bird didn't play and Johnson won. Is what I'm saying is every single season there are injuries. It's a war of attrition, the NBA season. It's 82 games. There's all kinds of stuff happening, and that's why the best team wins. You need skill, luck, and health. There are 3 factors to winning an NBA championship. So I can't fault that Golden State showed up and they were a little bit damaged goods. That's just how it is. That maybe their depth should have been better. And what I was just talking about, you put all your eggs in the basket with superstars at the top and they can't play, then you're fucked. And that's what I'm saying. The Raptors could miss, God forbid, somebody like Pascal Siakam and still try and win because he is not the everything all being for our team. Whereas for some teams like the Golden State Warriors in 2019, there were some pretty important critical players that couldn't play. So the only asterisk that should be on any championship in the NBA, actually in any recent history, is the Lakers championship, because that was a pandemic year. It was a bubble. There were all kinds of special circumstances that happened in that year. And that's the only one. If you're going to talk about asterisks, that's the only one that deserves it. Because I wouldn't slam your championship last year, even though there were different factors that helped y'all. Like there's one thing, Scott Foster did y'all real solid because he hates Chris Paul. And that's a grudge match. And every single time Scott Foster referees a game with Chris Paul in it, he's going to lose. So in some ways, you guys got help from Scott Foster because he hates Chris Paul. So listen, it's not about asterisks. It's about who is healthy and ready to play. And if you don't have your guys and you lose because of that, so be it. It has nothing to do with asterisks. And, bringing it up is something like that. That's what I'll say to it. Is like, there were guys that were hurt last year too. And you guys won. So do you guys need an asterisk? That's what I'm saying. It's the same shit. It's the same shit with Detroit championships in the past. It's the same shit with Chicago championships at different times. It's the same shit. Teams get hurt. Main important players miss games. And that is a factor. And that, the other team can't control whether Kevin Durant got hurt or Klay Thompson got hurt. That's just how it happened. So that's that. They should have had a more deeper team that could have carried the load without them. And they didn't. That's what I'm saying. Joe Powell saying, you think Maxey is that good? Sixers fans are super high on them. Yeah, good to see a new name, Joe Powell. Yeah, I think Maxey's very good. I think that he's their best young player, and he is one of the guys that I'm worried about. Actually, I better get into this breakdown real soon. I'm going to do it real fast because I don't want to take. We're going so long here. Raymond Jacobs saying the name's Chip. You star Giannis low key wishes he played for the Raps. Only stayed because he felt guilty. Yeah, I don't know if I'll go on that, Raymond Jacobs. If he wasn't going to be playing for Milwaukee and if he didn't sign that Supermax with them last year, he probably would be a Raptor at this point. That is true because of his relationship with Masai Ujiri is pretty deep. And he's seen what we've done in Toronto, and he thinks it's attractive down the down low Milwaukee fan. You know that. So if you didn't have Giannis, and I'm actually really glad he signed with you guys for Supermax because it's good for the sport. It changes this kind of like jumping around from team to team, trying to hunt championships by collecting superstars mentality. Giannis is better than that. And he's actually sticking with Milwaukee. I really am proud of him for doing that because that is good for the whole league. He's a role model for young players like Scotty Barnes to possibly do the same thing with us, sign the Supermax and stay with us for his whole entire career, that kind of stuff. So that's why I like what he did. Paul B saying Hornswoggle's from Oshkosh. Well, Hornswoggle never had an LJN made. And actually, he came after the time when I stopped watching wrestling. I quit watching wrestling in 2004. Hornswoggle doesn't exist in my world. But yeah, that's the one you're going to brag about. I guess, no, actually, who's a really good wrestler from Milwaukee is the Crusher. And the Crusher is from Milwaukee. He's Wisconsin. He's a famous old badass wrestler. He's the guy you should have brought up. Chip's saying, sounds like we could debate all day. Thibel's a solid defender, but offensively he's a liability. Chip's saying, three things are guaranteed, like death, taxes, and bucks are the best. I can't fault this guy for loving his team. That's all I got to say. And Chip saying, Raymond Giannis loves it here. He'd never want to live in a hockey town. No, that's not true. He would have came here if things weren't working out in good ways with Milwaukee. Like if y'all had not won the championship last year, there's a possibility he may not have wanted to stick around and stuff like that. I'm just saying, because, Milwaukee could fall into that trap like Minnesota real quick. It's not a big market city, and there's not a whole lot attractive about playing on Milwaukee other than Giannis Antetokounmpo in some ways. That's what I'm saying. This is get real in some ways. And as much as this is a hockey town, the bond and the friendship between Masai Ujiri and Giannis Antetokounmpo is very strong. In fact, you guys wouldn't probably have Giannis on your team if it wasn't for Masai Ujiri helping him get over here to North America. So you got to think about that. There is a loyalty that Giannis has towards Masai that you may not want to admit, but it is there. And that if Milwaukee wasn't his first choice, Toronto was his second choice. Don't get it twisted. He would have came here if he hadn't done the Supermax. And we were ready to try and make that work. That was part of what we were trying to structure our stuff, and we just wanted to see what he was going to do. But like I said just a couple minutes ago, I'm really happy that Giannis stayed with Milwaukee because it's good for the health of the NBA in general, is what I'm saying. So Raymond Jacobs saying, laugh out loud, Middleton, the only millionaire in the world without a dental plan. Oh my gosh, now we're getting low, Raymond Jacob, but I won't discount this. I read it. I said it. Monique saying, it's officially, I refuse to read any updates on Nick Nurse on Lakers. We are on the same boat, Lex. People would send me links on Facebook and I would just not read it, shaking my head. Well, it's just LA sports media trying to make something up because the Lakers are not relevant because they're not in the playoffs. And now they're just grasping for straws. This whole thing about Nick Nurse possibly going to coach the Lakers is laughable. There's no possible way this is going to happen. His contract is a certain way. He has so many ties here. He has so much things going good here. And it's like Josh Lewenberg said in one of his tweets, who the fuck would want that job the way that the coach gets treated in LA with LeBron on the team? Nobody wants that job. Seriously. And there's nobody that can go in there and fix it. If Doc Rivers gets fired by the Sixers because we put them out in the first round and he goes and coaches the Lakers, they're going to be just as much as a dumpster fire next year. It's not like Doc Rivers can save that team either, especially Doc Rivers. Actually, it's just going to be the same bullshit. Paul B saying, Giannis is the reason we settled for Aaron Baines, which led to Barnes, so it's even. Yeah, actually, that's a weird way of thinking about it and looking at it. All right, we got 37 people here. I'm going to go ahead and do my breakdown that I was supposed to do anyway. We've done a good think tank. We got other tank thinkers from other tanks in here with us. A Bucks and Sixers fan is here with us today, and it's fun. All right, so this is going to be my breakdown for this series coming up. I'm doing position by position going down from the top. First, we're going to talk about starting point guard. Fred VanVleet versus Tyrese Maxey. I actually say that this is an even match. I think that Fred's experience and the way that he can control the game and be steady Freddy is really good. But in some ways, he is a little hurt still with his knee. And I am concerned about him chasing Maxey around. that Maxey is that kind of young, energetic kind of player and dynamic scorer. He's got good deep range and he's really good at getting the basket, that Fred may have trouble guarding him at times and keeping up with him with his knee not being 100%. And that's going to be really important for maybe possibly Armani Brooks and Malachi Flynn to come in and be defensive stoppers on Maxey at different times, just in case he is burning Fred too much. But Fred's going to have to play, and hopefully Fred can get some of these veteran plays where he gets big shots and gets open because Maxey is caught not the right place, where Fred makes him pay for that kind of stuff. So I really see their matchup as being even. I don't see an advantage for Fred, and I don't see a total advantage for Tyrese Maxey either. So that's an even. That's a push as far as I'm concerned. We go to shooting guard, and we got Gary Trent Jr. and James Harden. Now, listen, Gary Trent Jr. is something that James Harden just simply is not. Gary Trent Jr. is a two-way player, and that is why I give him the advantage, because not only is he going to be trying to create his own shots, which he's really good at creating his own shots in traffic with side steps, little jab steps, any kind of little spins and moves, and really good at scoring. As he said, he's not a three-point shooter. He's a scorer. So don't pigeonhole him as just some three-point specialist. He's a guy that can drive the basket and hit these teardrop floaters that we've been seeing lately. He's a guy who can hit mid-range. He's a guy who can make his own shot anywhere on the court. And James Harden can do that kind of stuff himself also, but he hasn't been doing it as much. He's more of a playmaker, like I was saying earlier. And the other thing, this is the big glaring difference in why Gary Trent Jr. has the advantage, is Gary Trent Jr. on defense is a ball hound. He comes and he tips the ball out. He knocks the ball out. And James Harden is not going to be a defensive presence in this series. We know this, that he's going to be a liability. And in some ways, Gary Trent Jr. is going to be able to use a mismatch against James Harden very much. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why he had such a good game against the Sixers in the last regular season game, is because Harden's not trying. On defense, he will not try, and Gary's going to find himself wide open at different times. There was one point where he was so wide open in that Philadelphia game that he had like 30 seconds to shoot, and he really took his time to gather himself and put it and make sure it went in. So that's the thing. I love Gary Trent Jr. in this matchup. And the other thing is fantastic about it is James Harden is a turnover machine. He is so prone to turn the ball over that he's going to be ripe for the picking. There's going to be so many times when Gary and Fred are both attacking him and he's going to cough up the ball. So there's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff with that for sure. Moving on to the small forward matchup, we got OG Anunoby versus Danny Green. I mean, come on, guys. If we're going to match these guys up, Danny Green is really a specialist at this point in his career. He's a three-point specialist, and I wouldn't even put him as being a defensive specialist, like a 3-and-D specialist like he was for the Toronto Raptors in 2019 in our championship run. I don't think that he has any kind of defensive chops at this point in his career. And meanwhile, you've got OG Anunoby, probably the best defender that's involved in this entire series on either side of the ball. That OG Anunoby is the best defender in this series, and that he's going to be an X factor in all kinds of different ways because of what I was saying. He's missed so many games this season. We have not seen him involved, and we are at our full strength when OG is in the lineup. And that's the thing. He's the kind of guy that can go and mix it up with Embiid at the beginning of the game, start with a physical presence guarding him, and then he has to switch and go play James Harden for a while, or chase Tyrese Maxey around a little bit. That's the interchangeability of OG Anunoby. So obviously, a bonus and a win at that position, OG Anunoby's better than Danny Green. So if you're keeping score, that's 2 for the Raptors already. Next matchup, Scotty Barnes versus Tobias Harris. Now this one is a little close also because they're similar in what they're doing for their teams right now. Like Tobias Harris can wake up and score a lot of points for the Sixers at different times all of a sudden. He's good at doing that. And Scotty's the same way. He's that kind of guy who will fill it up all of a sudden real quick. He may be 1 for 5 in the first half, but in the second half, all of a sudden he scores like 12 points in the fourth quarter and he helps us win. So Tobias Harris could be similar like that. Now, one of the things that's different about Tobias Harris and Scotty Barnes is expectation. Now, Scotty's a rookie, and we don't have to expect him to do too much. It's almost like whatever Scotty does is extra. It's gravy. It's going to help us win on top of what we're already doing. Meanwhile, Tobias Harris is kind of essential to do certain things to help Philadelphia with the scoring, as far as what I was just talking about with the 2 main Sixers, Embiid and Maxey. If they're doing all the scoring, they need a third scorer, and it's probably going to have to be Harris. But the problem with Harris is he disappears also sometimes. Like he will be nothing on the court at times from time to time. So in this case, because expectations and pressure is so high on Tobias Harris, who has a huge contract, y'all, they pay him so much money in Philadelphia for what they get from him. The value is not that good. Like you're not getting good value from Tobias Harris in Philadelphia. You're paying him so much. And meanwhile, Scotty has no expectations. He has no pressure. He just needs to go out there, play really well, do winning plays, and he'll be fine. That's why I'm giving the advantage to Scotty Barnes, because I more likely think that Scotty Barnes is going to come out and bust out and be a badass in the playoffs. That's more likely than Tobias Harris doing that. And also, Tobias Harris has so much pressure that he fails, people are going to come down on him because he makes so much money as a Sixer. And if he's not doing good things for them consistently, there's going to be a lot of grumblings and rumblings about how they're wasting money on him and stuff like that. So I give Scotty that one. So we're up 3-0 for the Raptors. All right, Pascal Siakam versus Joel Embiid. I'm putting Pascal at center. It's really more because he's our number one. He's our franchise guy, and Joel Embiid is the guy on the other side. Now, when I put them together against each other, I had to factor in all kinds of stuff. Embiid's MVP race, Embiid's dominance, Embiid in different ways, but also against the Raptors, it's different. It's like I said earlier, he may do certain things to the rest of the NBA, but he doesn't do it against the Raptors. And it's our long arm monsters brigade. We have so many guys and so many different people who come in and throw different looks at him. Chris Boucher, Kem Birch, Precious Achua, OG, Pascal, Scotty, Thad Young. All those guys are going to be guarding Joel Embiid in different ways, and multiple of them at different times. And that has been the key to our success of messing him up and causing him to have a hard time. Now, there's a certain level of Joel Embiid that you cannot stop. Like he's going to get his to a certain degree, and he will have dominant moments where he looks like the absolute dominant player on the court. But like we said, he can have a super big game and they still lose. So that's the thing I like about this matchup. And I think Pascal's pretty even with him in some ways as far as what they can do to dominate and control the game. That Pascal has the same kind of power on the other side of the ball, and that he can get so many points himself and do so many good things, like whether it's his playmaking off of doubles and different things. So I make this matchup even, just like the Fred and Tyrese Maxey matchup is an even Steven matchup. So I don't think there's a big advantage having Embiid when we have Pascal Siakam across from him also. The two Cameroonians, that country should be so proud of these two young men and how badass they've played in the NBA this year, because they are two of the best players in the NBA from such a small African country. Kudos to Cameroon. But that's a push. I say that's a push between Pascal and Joel Embiid. We're going to go to the bench real quick. I'm going to do these pretty fast. Malachi Flynn versus Shake Milton. I have more confidence in Shake Milton, honestly. He's a better shooter. He's a better scorer. Malachi's he's failed too many times and not been good enough. So I'll give the Sixers that matchup. So there's a point for the Sixers. I've got Chris Boucher versus Furkan Korkmaz, because Korkmaz is off the bench and they're kind of similar players. That is a push to me because both guys could actually really contribute in big ways off the bench for their teams. Chris Boucher can hit threes. Korkmaz can hit threes. Chris can do this. Korkmaz can do this. So that's a push to me also. And Chris's inconsistency and Korkmaz's inconsistency kind of line up the same place also. Next, Thaddeus Young and George Niang. I would say that in this matchup, it is pretty even also. That Thaddeus Young brings a lot of veteran intangibles. He steadies the team. Some of the things we were talking about, he'd get a basket and key points when we're having a drought. But Niang is such a three-point threat that he's very dangerous. He is somebody that we're really going to have to keep track of and make sure that he doesn't get feeling good from behind the three-point arc. He is somebody that is very important for the Raptors to keep track of. But in that matchup, as far as intangibles and what they both bring off the bench for their teams, I say it's even. It's pretty even, Thad Young and George's Yang or whatever, how the fuck you say it. Next matchup, I got Precious Achua and Paul Reed. Now, this is an interesting one. Paul Reed is a great young player. We talked a lot about how Paul Reed is probably one of their best bigs in some ways, but once again, he's super young. He's super inexperienced. We don't know how he's going to do in the playoffs, whether he's going to blow up and be good, or maybe he shrinks away and fades in the background. Precious, on the other hand, is showing that he is ready. and he's going to come in there and be a factor in this series. We know that. So I have to give the advantage to Precious Achiuwa, if only just because he's a three-point threat right now and he's shooting at such a high clip. So I give Precious the advantage here. So that's another one for the Raptors. If you're keeping track, that's 4 for the Raptors and 1 for the Sixers so far. Next, Kem Birch over DeAndre Jordan. I'm picking Kem Birch over this one because he's actually played way more minutes than DeAndre Jordan. He's more integrated with the Raptors lineup, and he does way more important things with pick and roll and setting screens and different things like that for the Raptors. He's kind of the emergency relief valve. If we're in trouble, just dump it to Kem, and you can hopefully make a shot in the lane, just an easy shot. And DeAndre Jordan, we didn't even see him play in the last regular season game against the Raptors. In some ways, he's a liability no matter what against the Raptors. It's almost like they can't play him at all in this series because whoever you put him out there and he has to guard, they're going to kill him like as a mismatch. So in some ways, this is a clear point for the Raptors that Kem Birch will be a much more utilized player to be useful in this series than DeAndre Jordan. He may not even see the game that much. Like they may put him in here and there, but I don't think DeAndre Jordan's going to play a whole lot in this series. I'm telling you right now. Next one, Delano Banton versus Charlie Brown Jr. Now, Charlie Brown Jr. killed us in the G League Eastern Conference Finals. He was one of the big reasons why Delaware Bluecoats beat the Raptors 905. He's a good, interesting scorer, but I still like this versatility and this length of Delano Banton and the different ways that he can be helpful in a playoff series because of his up tempo, bringing the ball up the court, not being another tall defender, another person we can run around as a backup in different ways. So I'm giving Delano Banton the advantage in this matchup. I don't know enough about Charlie Brown in different ways. And just from what I can tell, he may not be translatable in any kind of way in the playoffs. He may be real good on the G League level, but he may not even play that much in this series at all. Next, Armani Brooks and Isaiah Joe. I actually think Isaiah Joe is way better than Armani Brooks. Armani Brooks has been a good addition to the Raptors, but I'm going to give the Sixers the point on this one. Isaiah Joe has had times where he's absolutely gone off and played really well as a young player for the Sixers. So I'll give the Sixers this one against Armani Brooks. Svi Mihalik versus Matisse Thybulle. I actually put Thybulle here because I discounted him for not being able to play in Toronto. And I honestly have to give them the advantage on this one also. Even with Thybulle only playing in Philly, Svi Mihalik has been an utter disappointment this season. And Thybulle is way more useful than Svi Mihalik at this point. So I'll give another point to the Sixers in that matchup in particular. Yuta Watanabe versus Paul Millsap. This one's actually pretty even. You hear the name Paul Millsap, and you're like, whoa, wait, Paul Millsap, he's good. But no, he's not. He is washed. Like if he was any good, they'd be playing him way more, but he's stuck at the end of their bench. And in some ways, Yuta Watanabe can be very useful in this playoff series still in different ways. Like Nick Nurse could be really smart about how he uses his bench in different stints and stuff. So I say this is an even. Paul Millsap for his experience and leadership on the bench, Yuta Watanabe for his actual possible usage in the game. I'll say it's even in this matchup. Keep on going. Isaac Bonga versus Charles Bassey. This is another one where I'm going to just say it's even because I don't know enough about Bassey. I know Bassey's done pretty well at different times for the Sixers at different levels in the G League and stuff like that. But so is Bonga. And Bonga is actually our backup long arm monster. Like if we have to use Bonga, he will come in and he will do quality things for us as far as winning plays because he's just like our other guys. He's so versatile. He can bang the ball up the court. He can shoot the three. He can rebound. He can block shots. He can do everything that guys like Scotty and Precious and OG do also. So that's even. So and then the last matchup, of course, with the team is Nick Nurse versus Doc Rivers. And we've already talked about this. Obviously, Nick Nurse has the advantage in this one. Even Sixers fan admits this. And it's just true. We won't go into this too much. We understand that Nick Nurse is the better coach. So after the positional matchups, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 3. 7-3 for the Raptors advantage as far as what I see with matchups going against each other. All right, so the next part of what I want to talk about is the advantages and just in general as far as statistically. Like our guard, I feel like the Raptors have the best guards in the matchups. It's really the Trent two-way ability over Harden that is the big difference. That because Gary Trent is such a two-way player this year with his steals all of a sudden and just the way he's been playing defense, that gives us the advantage at guards, at least starting guards. Like Tyrese Maxey's great, but James Harden is going to hinder them. And I'd rather have Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. over Tyrese Maxey and James Harden. And some people would be like, whoa, you're crazy. I'm like, no, have you seen the tandem of Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. and the way they work together and the way that they're both offensive threats for three and the way that they both make the other team's guards cough up the ball so much? Advantage Raptors. Forward, positionless players are playing forward for the Raptors, and there's a lot of smaller guys that are going to play forward for the Philly Sixers, and that's a real disadvantage for them because you're going to have guys like Precious and Chris Boucher and these taller guys, OG Anunoby, bully balling the smaller forwards on the Sixers team. The height test was used all year by me when doing previews for games, looking at where the drop off after 6'7" is on the other team's roster. And there's a lot of 6'5", 6'6", 6'4" guys. They're going to have to guard our big positionless long arm monsters. And that is going to be a huge advantage for the Raptors because that's going to give a lot of our good mismatches. Whereas like OG can just post whoever the fuck's guarding him. If it's George Niang, whatever, Danny Green, these guys are going to get eaten alive. So advantage Raptors at forward, starting forward. At center, superstars, it's even once again. I said Embiid will be tough, but Pascal Siakam is simply unstoppable right now. And to me, Pascal isn't our starting center. Our starting center is Scotty Barnes. Like if he's going to do the jump ball against Joel Embiid, that's who the center is. Whoever is in the jump ball section at the beginning of the game is who should be considered the starting center. And when the graphic goes up on Sportsnet or TSN and they say that Pascal is our center starting, don't believe that shit. It's actually Scotty Barnes is our starting center. And that's a great thing about our rookie is he can start at point guard, he can start at shooting guard, he can start at small forward, power forward, and center. He can start at all five positions. He truly is like his hero, Magic Johnson, and able to play all five positions. And our starting center is Scotty Barnes. But in this case, I am doing the same comparison, Pascal versus Joel Embiid. I still feel like that's pretty even. And people may argue against that. But Joel Embiid, like I said, we have his kryptonite. We mess him up. He's not the same player against the Raptors as he is against the other teams in the NBA. Bench guards, I'm actually giving the advantage to the Sixers on the bench guards. I feel like their guards off the bench are just much better scorers. In some ways, they're better three-point shooters. And this is an area where the Raptors lack in some ways. Like I wish I could depend on some of our guards to come in and just bomb threes and make them steadily. But that's not the case. This has been a huge weakness for the Raptors this year is our bench. And bench guards in particular have not been strong. So advantage Sixers on the bench guards. Bench forwards, I'm giving an advantage to the Raptors. And once again, this is really a contingency of Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, and Thad Young. These guys are badasses, and they're going to do all kinds of multifaceted things. Precious could be starting on most teams in the NBA. You know, Chris Boucher is a great player and has started at different times for us. And Thad Young has been an invaluable vet so far this year. So advantage Raptors for the bench forwards. As far as deep bench, if you're going really deep into the bench, I'm going to give the advantage to the Sixers. They just have more talent way deep down at the end of the bench. I wish we could depend on guys like Yuta and Svi and Malachi a little bit better, but we can't. So I'm going to give the Sixers the advantage for their deep bench. I already said the coaching advantage is for Nick Nurse. When it comes to scoring and just shooting in general, I think it's pretty even. I think that in some ways, if the we're keeping up with them, we should be all right. Like there's some times where the Sixers have trouble scoring also. That they have the same kind of problems that the Raptors have, sometimes with their offense just going cold and not being able to hit anything also. So it's a similar problem both teams have. And hopefully, the Raptors can have less time like that and really keep the Sixers in a box and having a hard time scoring at a lot of times throughout the series. So we'll see what happens. Rebounding is definitely an advantage for the Raptors. Our offensive crashing and the way that we rebound is a huge advantage. I mean, Joel Embiid's the biggest guy out there, and he's going to swallow up a lot of rebounds. But who do they have after that is really a well-known rebounder? Maybe Paul Reed off the bench. But other than that, these other guys aren't really known for rebounding. And you got one tower out there that's going to try and collect all of them. that's not going to be enough. When we have like 4 towers that are next size highest after him and they're crashing the boards and they're trying to put it back and stuff. So rebounding is a huge advantage for the Raptors in this series. Assists. I'm going to give the assist advantage to the Sixers because they have a playmaker like James Harden, Tyrese Maxey. They do a better job of sharing the ball and getting the ball around and getting good open shots for their 3-point shooters. And their assists is better than the Raptors. The Raptors have not really played well off each other in different ways. They've really tried to do more isolation, one-on-one kind of stuff at times. And I wish that they played off of each other more, but they haven't proven that enough. So I'll give this one to the Sixers as far as playmaking. Steals is definitely an advantage for the Raptors. It's getting more back once again to Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet backcourt. Boy, we're getting 3 sirens today. There's a lot today. And it's really them. So advantage on steals and stealing the ball, getting it loose for the Raptors for sure. And blocks, I'm going to say it's even because the Raptors have a lot of different guys who kind of can have good size and blocking, but Joel Embiid obviously is the best shot blocker out on the court in this game, in this series that we're about to start. So even for blocks, I'll say that between the two teams. Field goal attempts. This is a very important stat category for the Raptors and an advantage that they have. They manufacture way more field goal attempts than the other team. Usually, it's usually from offensive rebounding and just from in general, like steals and getting turnovers and getting into transition, stuff like that. So advantage to the Raptors as far as field goal attempts and manufacturing more shots on the basket. So yeah, next one, 3-pointers. I'll give the advantage in the 3-point world to the Sixers, just because they have guys that are more dead-eye, like Niang specifically. Korkmaz can get very seriously dangerous, but our team can be inconsistent with the threes. Hopefully they're shooting good from 3 in this series, and it is more even, and we can beat them in 3-pointers. But consistently and overall, the Sixers have better 3-point shooters in a lot of ways. Free throws. I'm going to also give the advantage to the Sixers there also. We've shown an inconsistency at the free throw line at times that has been really bad in the season, and we need to make sure we make our free throws in the postseason. There's no guarantee. As far as on the other side, Joel Embiid is one of the best free throw shooting big men in the history of the game. Like, he gets to the free throw line and he makes them. James Harden's another great free throw shooter. So I have to give the advantage at getting to the line and also making the free throws to the Sixers. And partly that is the refs helping, but also that they are good free throw shooters for guys who get to the line a lot. And that's part of the reason why their points totals were so good this year at times. And then finally, the last category I'm going to go over and finishing up this breakdown is turnovers. And like I said, James Harden specifically averages almost 5 turnovers a game personally, just himself. So we're going to be able to get a lot of turnovers off the Sixers by having a really good dogged defense on them. We'll get a lot of transition baskets, fast break points, stuff like that. So if the Sixers are careless with the ball, we'll make them pay. So advantage Raptors on that. So overall, if you're looking at it all, the Raptors have a lot of good advantages in different places, and the Sixers do have some advantages also. All right, let's go back to the comments now that I've done my spiel for the Thursday Think Tank as far as preview and everything. I hope that you guys got some good information from what I just did just now. Hopefully it was good. All right, let's see what people are saying now. No. Let me see. Where was I? Okay, Chip saying Sixer fans keep telling me the only reason James Harden has been struggling is because he's saving himself for the playoffs. Like he's going to turn into MJ or something. Yeah, that's hilarious. Honestly, I'm going to laugh about this with the Bucks fan right now because it's so stupid. It's such a dumb strategy. It's like, really, when you want to be good at anything, you have to practice at it all out in the same way. And if you're holding back in the way you practice, that is actually how you will play. So this is bullshit. This is hot air. This is just him making up bullshit to try and save face. He doesn't have another playoff mode. He's not saving anything. He's going to be just as shitty in the postseason as he was in the regular season. So that is hilarious. I'm laughing with Chip right on that one. Paul B saying Fred, 38% on 9.9 attempts a game. Gary, 38% on 7.8 attempts. With our offensive rebounding being number 2 in the league, it's going to be too much for the Sixers to keep up. Yeah, we just gonna have to outwork them and stuff like that. One of the things that Thad Young talked about yesterday in his press conference was when a team breaks open the game on the other team or busts the other team, and there's that feeling of, oh shit, we're in trouble, we're gonna lose. And he's been on both sides of that, whether he's been the team that's got busted open or he's the team that's busting the other team open. And this is something we should look for in this series, that at different points in times during different parts of games, we should see the Raptors bust them open as far as holding them down with their defense or just killing them in different ways. That is what we should be looking for, is the Raptors busting the game open and dominating and controlling. Because in some ways, when you do that in a playoff series and you show that you have an advantage, a way you can dominate the other team, that's very helpful. Ask Milwaukee when we played them and they beat us in the first two games. Serge had his powerful speech, and then we figured something out and we broke them in a way and allowed us to win 4 straight in 1 week and get to the finals, beating the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Is we figured them out to a degree. So we want to look for that to a degree with the Sixers. We want to figure out how we can bust them and break their system and really demoralize them and make them feel like, well, we're going to lose because the Raptors have figured us out. And that is the thing that is really going to be crucial about the Nick Nurse Doc Rivers matchup, is that Nick Nurse is going to figure that out in all kinds of different ways. And even if the Sixers figure out how to bust us up a little bit, adjustments will be made. And because of the versatility and the all kinds of different things about our roster, we'll be able to cover up and change that quicker and faster. And like I said, that's part of the in-game adjustment advantage that Nick Nurse has over Doc Rivers, is he may make that adjustment within minutes in the game as soon as he sees it, whereas Doc may not be quick enough to make the adjustments when his team's getting busted open from the Raptors. And that's going to be a huge part of it. Oh, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Monique saying, love your preview. The pressure is all on the Sixers. Let's go Raptors. This is true because we have no pressure. There's so much pressure on them because they were supposed to be a championship contender. They're supposed to be this. They're supposed to be that. There's so much pressure put on them. Nobody expects shit from us. We weren't even supposed to be here. So there is a real freedom and lightness to being able to treat this series in that way from our perspective compared to them. The pressure is on them. They have home court. They have the possible MVP of the season. They have the championship aspirations the whole entire year that they are supposed to fulfill. And we do not. Everything we do is just like, hey, this is badass. Stuff like that. I love it. Raymond Jacobs saying, I hope we don't leave a bunch of open threes. This will be really, really super important. And Miami did the best job of getting their threes open against us in that Lowry return game. It was awful. Like, they showed a couple of ways how teams can do this. But hopefully, because Miami did that and exposed us in that way with Strus and those guys that day, Oladipo, that we've adjusted and we've figured out how to combat that kind of strategy to free up three-point shooters. This is going to be a huge battle in this series for us, that we are going to have to make sure that we don't let Yang specifically and Korkmaz go off and get a whole bunch of points for them off the bench from the three-point line. And we've had good success of tying up the three-point line. And even if we have to tie up the three-point line and we concede the mid-range, that's fine. In some second, it's saying my connection is unstable. All right, I might have to finish up real quick because YouTube's telling me that a connection's not stable. I'm going to read through these last comments and then get off the air. We're already at 2.5 hours anyway. Death 4K saying Thibauld's not a good primary defender. He's more of a team guy. He struggles on the ball. He's a good help defender, kind of a good guy to get in the passing lane, get some steals, stuff like that. Monique saying, predict Scotty's stats in the playoffs, Lex. I don't know what to predict with him. I'm hoping that his stats have an uptick, that he has a little bit better than his regular season stats, just because it's a bigger stage and he's trying even harder. Because we've seen flashes of brilliance and dominance where he can just take over and do whatever the fuck he wants on the court. Well, maybe he's kind of like Harden. He's like, well, maybe I'm saving a little bit for this, and maybe I'll insert and initiate myself more importantly in the game and be more of a factor. That's what I'm hoping from Scotty. But it's a wide range of what we can expect from him. He could fail completely, and he could be really dominant and really important. So we don't know what to expect with him. He is a really big question mark with this series coming up. Banana Bread Tan saying, I think Malachi has more to give. Yes, Brooks got run, but Malachi's coming back from injury. He'll take some time to get his rhythm back. It's really more just I wish I could depend on him. Like we don't know if we're gonna get the Malachi that just fucks up or the Malachi that's bombing threes and playing incredibly well. And that's why I can't give them that advantage in that matchup. But I love Malachi. I hope that he's hitting his threes. I hope he's playing really sound basketball. That's what I'm hoping. All right, Chip's saying the Bucks are coming. Sound the alarms. Get the guns. We get venison tonight. Yeah, he blowed up real good. Raymond is hiding under his bed. He is not. He's not hiding under his bed. Raymond Jacobs saying, let's go, Bucks. I'm not even a Buck hater, so just stop. I'll cheer for y'all to get to the finals where we'll see y'all and come back. We can trash talk our hearts out. Yeah, see, that's right. He's exactly what I am, too. I don't hate the Bucks either. I actually really respect the Bucks in some ways and like the Bucks franchise. There's other Eastern teams I hate way more than you guys. And you know what? There's a respect. There's a general respect. I like Giannis Antetokounmpo as a person and as a player for the most part. And, you know, there's a respect. Okay, you like my breakdown. Awesome. I hope you got all the intel you wanted to get, Chip. Yeah, and you guys are still talking trash between each other. Raymond's saying, I'll even buy you a beer after when the Raps win it in 4. See, that's gamemanship. We'll buy you a Canadian beer. We'll send you some good Canadian lager, and we'll send it to Milwaukee. You can get some Elsinore beer from Strange Brew, and you can send the Milwaukee's best back to Raymond and the other way. Chip saying, considering you will already be on vacation, Raymond, by the time Eastern Conference Finals come, you can be my waiter. Listen, there's no guarantee y'all will get there either. Come on. If you have to go through the Nets or the Celtics, that's going to be a tough series for y'all. Let's not get it twisted. So, yeah. And once again, I don't like getting ahead of ourselves. The fact that there is a Bucks fan in here talking shit with us, this is way too early. This is way too preemptive. We've got the Sixers we're worrying about. We don't care about what the Bucks are doing right now. The only thing we give a shit about is 6 o'clock on Saturday night in Philadelphia, Game 1, Toronto versus Philadelphia. And we'll start there. And if you guys get down your path to a certain place and we meet at some point, that'll be a lot of fun. But otherwise, yeah, this is a little too early. Come on. Paul B saying Drew Holiday is a game changer for the Bucks. Yeah, he is in some ways. Like he's hurt us at different times. He's actually been one of the few Bucks that hurt us earlier this season at different times. So Banana Bread Tan said, I got a beer from AB for your tears. Nice. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up real quick right at 2.5 hours. Thanks for being here for the first ever Thursday Think Tank on the Raptor Freak channel. Thinking positive ways and positive things about the Raptors and their future and where we're going towards. Tomorrow, it'll be the first ever Friday Freak Out where I'm just going to go off for like 5 or 10 minutes yelling. I may not even talk to you guys. I may just go crazy and just run a wrestling promo off the top of my head. Basically, I'm going to be doing a promo on the Sixers for the playoffs to getting us hyped. Oh, yeah, that's going to be the Friday Freak Out. So thanks again for being here. Please like, comment, subscribe, especially subscribe. Hit that red subscribe button. I don't care what team you're a fan of. Like the Raptor Freak channel and come and join us anytime if you want to have some entertainment and some good basketball talk. You'll find it here. Oh, yeah. All right, y'all. Let's go Raptors. We're going to beat the Sixers. And then maybe we'll see the Bucks or the Suns or all these other teams that kind of come in here and talk trash to us. Oh, we will get you eventually. Oh, yeah, we will. We will get you eventually. Oh,